All right, all right. Yes, yes, yes. We are back for another open court discussion in the Counselor's Corner. I'm your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me is my co host, the Big Bad Wolf, Herb Lewis.
Ow.
No, that howl's kind of subdued, kind of.
I know, right?
Also, we had a youngest in charge tonight. She's been on a sabbatical, Shaughnessy Andrews. She's joining us tonight.
Oh, hey.
And anybody else who wants to join the panel, you can come in, request for the link in the chat, or maybe if we're paying attention, inbox us or something. So, this past Monday, we discussed the topic Love on the Run. Are you willing to relocate and move in for love? We discussed the pros and cons before packing your bags to move and what's your game plan if it does not work out. So if you're interested in going back watching that replay, check it out on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. Now let's shift gears to tonight, July 17th. We will cover the topic: Why do so many? Why do some men become violent after breakups, and what are
Mm.
other ways they handle breakups? Let me set the table. One of the reasons men resort to violence is because they feel women are responsible for their needs and feelings, even when she declares they are not together anymore. Mm, you heard that? So
Mm.
pretty much manage your needs. Like, oh, you can't go anywhere. Like, who's gonna help me stay calm? Who's gonna help me? Who's gonna keep me organized? Keep me on track? So that may have a lot to do with it. Also, I lost my spot. Also, be, just because of leeway men are used to getting as far as their behavior, like some of the stuff even back in the days it was acceptable. So, and maybe they seen it growing up in their households, maybe one or two generations, and they say, hey, this is what happens, it's normal. So that could be one of the reasons. Just throwing stuff out there. um, So, anyways, other than that, like I said, the table is set. Please make sure you like and share the video, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. Actually, we hit, I think we're at 701 now. So another milestone has been completed. Now it's
Yeah.
time to get to those 800s. So
Right.
that was a good thing. So, all right, people, come on. Let's close the show, and here we are. So, what's good, good people?
Nothing much. Just school and work. Same thing, different day. Feel like I'm in a 360 deal with Suge Knight.
Mm, that's interesting observation.
Man, it gets crazy. These programs, the way they have them set up is once you in, and nobody takes your credits nowhere else. So if you're not satisfied where you're
Mm.
getting, you stuck. And even if once you get finish one program, it's not going to cross over. Like if you finish one program and you want to bridge at the same school, it'll be like 6 to 9 months. But if you go to another program, they're going to make you do a whole 18 months. So it's like you stuck.
They trying to strong arm people and
Hmm.
keep trying to get those dollars.
Yes, and expensive it is. But FMP, I got to get that doctor in front of my name. So we in there.
Keep pushing.
Yeah, yeah, and the way things are coming down the pipe, they've already, we haven't touched on this, but I think we'll get to it eventually. With the Supreme Court decision regarding affirmative action in college admissions,
Yes, yes.
work and jobs are going to be cutthroat. So, you know, do what you can to get ahead,
Yeah.
uh, get those skills or whatever is necessary, get them up. Because if this goes the way that some people think, It's gonna be a lot of hey fathead texts coming up. And I will not be yeah, and I will not be getting any of those texts. I'm sorry.
All right. Anything else going on, Herb?
No, man. The last week has been relatively calm. No nonsense except for I I I don't know the entire story, but apparently there was a young sister that went missing and she's turned
Oh.
up. Now, last week, I do recall saying, generally it's for older people, make sure for people who have memory issues that you know where they are. Apparently, these people need to take a page out of your book, Shaughnessy, and start having a sincere tag. So people know where the hell they are. Because this makes no sense. Like I said, I don't know the entire story. It's coming out piecemeal. And when it
So
does, we'll get more information about it. But people,
from the yeah the from what I know about it and what I read, because initially it did capture me, and I was really invested in it. So um a lot of it didn't make sense initially, and before she was found, when I saw that video of the highway, and it didn't show us anything except the internet detectives were making things like, oh, y'all see that shadowy figure, y'all see that car backing up, and it's like, well, that's a reflection. I wanted to I was curious as to why they, when I say they, like the police, why did they release that video? Because it didn't show us anything. So what are you guys really trying to say? And once she was found, I was just like, well, and reading the Hoover police, their statements, I don't, well, this is what I think. This is what I think happened. I don't think she made it up necessarily. I think in her head she saw somebody on a toddler. I think whoever the people were in her head beat her up and took her wig. Um, but I think she had a psychotic break. I don't think anybody was involved, and I'm not being insensitive to the situation. It just, the facts of it don't make sense. Whereas though she had an Apple Watch, it was in her purse, and
uh,
as a female, one, I mean, and I don't judge her. I'm not judging her for seeing a toddler in a diaper on the side of the road walking and pulling over. Not judging you for that. I get it. As women, we have to be careful. Would I have stopped because it was a toddler? I can't say I wouldn't, but would I have gotten out? Hell no. But also, the well, it yeah, no, I wouldn't have got out. I don't even know. I can't say. It depends on what I had in the car at that moment, whether I would have stopped. Do I have my protection with me in this moment? Because I'm just here to see, and whatever, to the police come. But it just,
there you
certain
go.
things
That's
didn't make sense. Why didn't the dispatcher stay on the phone with her? That typically doesn't happen. Where, like, did she hang up? Typically they ask you, do you want me to stay on the phone? And I'm just wondering why she, quote unquote, hung up. The family member that she spoke with, she said multiple times, hey, I didn't hear nobody answer. I didn't hear nobody respond when she did ask them. It's a lot that doesn't really make sense. I think her family is trying to protect her because they don't want the world to know necessarily that she had that mental break. But something about her being evaluated versus treated and released didn't sit right with me.
uh
Yeah, y'all going into a whole case study.
Yeah,
I
because
just
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
it don't add up, but it doesn't add up. But I also don't think like she's totally making it up. I think something happened, but I think it happened within her and in her head.
All right.
like it's a mental health issue. It's always a thing. It's always a
Yeah, and I
thing.
mean she's right at the age where psychosis shows up. where you get that psychosis and that schizophrenia pops up. So I I don't think she just out here playing games, but I do think I hope she gets. I hope whatever happens, she gets the help that she needs. But I do know I felt some type of way. We was ready to go to war over her. Now y'all want y'all privacy. I want to know. Talk to me.
Come and talk to me.
Well,
Oh, here.
we in a few minutes get ready to get into
Yes,
the
yes. The
nature
topic of
of
the
the topic, but before we get into that, I want to acknowledge, man, it's crazy, and we keep talking about it on here how life is short. Well, one of the people I want to mention, I mean, he lived a good life. Found out two significant people passed yesterday. One of them was he was my junior high principal, so he was older. He's like 86, but Herb, you might know him, Dr. Garucci, and then he was Laysale Senior's
Yeah, that. Oh,
principal.
wow.
So and that just had me reflecting, like just thinking about him, like dude was that leader, that type of that guy, white guy, Italian, whatever he was, but sort of like in the his style was sort of like a Barack Obama type style. Walk
okay.
through the halls. Never really heard him. Never really seen him get angry at kids. Always even keel. Walk through the cafeteria. If he noticed you wasn't eating, he would offer you some, $1, $2 to get something to eat. He was that
That's
type of.
dope.
He was that type of
That's
guy.
good. That's
So
good.
condolence to his family, and I want to extend more on that year when I graduated, because it kind of ties in. I always talk about school should be 50% social and 50 academics, but also lost another close colleague that when I worked at Newtown High School, she was the pupil personnel worker, Tanya Mallory, and that was like,
Mm,
yeah, that was.
really?
I'm still shocked. Like, wow.
What happened?
I think she just end up, she ended up having cancer, breast cancer.
Okay.
Then it spread it to her lungs, and it happened within, like, I guess, like 30 days, that quick.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she was she was good people. I mean, no matter, I
Yeah.
might have had, me. I try to be even killed, but I would have my moments sometimes. But she was always cool, calm, and collected. And even when I was trying to get into the position she was in, she was there trying to school me, make sure I need to do this, I need to do that. So she was all for kids and just all for fairness. That's going to be a great loss for our school district. She was one of the nicest people in the world. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's so you remember O'Shaughnessy.
Yes, I do.
So
Dang, that's always sad to hear, Always sad to hear.
yeah, that kind of caught
Life
me
is
off guard.
so fragile. Such a fragile life we live.
Yes, we do. He could be here today and gone tomorrow, and that's the thing. So, and when I think about and again, condolences to Tanya's family and all the BCPS employees that were connected with her. I mean, I'm sure everybody, well, not everybody, but a great deal of people will be impacted because she was such a breath of fresh air, and always always did well by people no matter what the circumstances was. So that's why that I'll remember her by just her fairness, her calmness, and always always had her emotions under control. Because Shaughnessy, no, it was times I was ready to cuss them out in my office, but I
You
had to
was
keep it
ready
under
to,
control.
or you did?
I never did. I never did. Stop.
Nah, you never cussed us out, but we knew when not to play with Mr. Glover though. We
Yeah,
knew.
yeah. Sometimes I would get to that
Set the
point.
flags.
But also when I think about when I graduated, I think about a couple individuals, and again, how I always put emphasis, and that was years ago, but now it's even getting worse. When you have two individuals in the maybe top five, definitely top 10 of the class, and they end up having like mental breakdowns. Our valedictorian, and that's was well documented.
Yep.
William Strupshaw ended up
Hmm.
killing his mother the evening before our graduation. So that was
Mm.
the big news when I arrived to graduation. Did you hear? Did you hear? Oh, Billy killed his mother because he kind of snapped because she was always on his case. Uh, and I grew up playing little league football with him. He always had a little temper, um, but it was never nothing that football is football. Okay, you want to get tough, get a little untempered, and we gonna come right back at you. But I guess he, after graduation rehearsal, he decided to go hang out with his girlfriend. Came home, his mother giving him the third degree about this and that. Now the man has like a freaking 99.99 average.
Let him be him.
He lost it. Went in, beat her down with a baseball bat. Then he went
Wow.
on to do other stuff, whatever, like, and had a different identity. Went to Canada, start, you know, sexually assaulting women, and was going by a different name. I'm surprised this ain't a Lifetime movie. But so again, that mental health aspect, and this was years ago. Then there was another guy. He was like quiet. I think he was ended up working in Rochester, became like a electrical engineer, and he probably was like I said, top five in the class. He ended up, I guess him and his wife got into an argument. He stabbed her to death, stabbed one of his children, one of his daughter to death. Then he had a younger one, must have stabbed her, but she must have lived. But then he had a son that must have seen it happen and took off running and went down the street to his uncle's house. So he ended up, because he is in jail for life. With so it always makes me think like sometimes that's just not it. To have this 99.9 average. We need people that's more well rounded who can handle social issues, problem solving, conflicts. And just
Right.
because you have that average don't mean that you're gonna have longevity and go on to do great things if your social and your mental isn't right.
Right.
So I think that leads into you know talking about this topic on breakups and how some people can't handle it. And I did a clip from one of our previous shows, and so Scorpio T, like she said, she said sometimes you got to be careful. You got to be careful how you break stuff down to people. And again, it's different ways people can do it. Some people, like I said, ghost you. Some people say, "Oh, break up through text or maybe a phone call." Sometimes people may request, "Okay, can I see you? Can we see, face to face?" But again, it goes back to knowing your personnel. Do you think if you share this information with this person, how are they going to respond? How are they going to handle it? Are they going to do something? These are things that you got to know, and you got to be careful, because you may think, okay, I broke up with them and now it's over. Now it's time for me to showcase and post my new boo all over social media, and that guy might not be he might not be taking it well. He may feel like, oh, I did a lot for her, or I did this and did that, and this is how she gonna do me. Nah, this shit
Yeah.
ain't going out like this. It ain't going down. That's just to start it
Yeah.
off. Y'all can
It gets
chime in.
crazy. I'm definitely I that domestic violence stuff definitely hits for me, and it gets to the point where it at this moment, because of, I'll say, because of what I have been through, sometimes I do worry about if I, if this person is too into me or if this person likes me too much, I am somewhat afraid of breaking things off with them because
Mm,
people
mm,
don't
mm.
take that easily. And it's crazy. I literally, and I don't want to say I feel bad, right? Because I would never blame myself for someone else's actions, but in this particular time, I was just like, dang, like you about to be away from your kids because you're gonna have to sit down because you're gonna have to pay for what you did, and it cost him 2 years away from his his young children, and it was just like, dang, like I don't want it to. I feel bad because I don't want to say I'm the cause. Like you're responsible for your actions. That's bottom line. But I don't know what it is about people that they feel like it's me and you or it's nothing.
Woo!
That
Man,
is
y'all done
crazy.
put a lot on the plate for it, brother. I got my fucking knife ready, man. Let me
Because I
start by.
mean, it
Go
gets
ahead.
heavy, and I understand you make sacrifices, you love hard, you envision your life with a certain person, but if something does not work, something does not work. Like you have to work through that hurt, work through that pain, and move on. But putting your hands on somebody, male or female, you can't do that. You can't do that because just like you said, sometimes, and I don't want to say any type of you can't put your hands on people, period. But some people, when they get to that point, they just snap and they don't have no. There's no way for them to stop.
Ah,
And like this particular person, like, well, beforehand, I would have thought was a good person, and now it's like you got a felony on your record for now for
well,
nothing.
let me ask this question: does that still not make that, or does that make that person a bad person?
Hmm. It, yes,
Okay.
I would say yes. Um, because part of being a good human being is taking accountability. Like I know sometimes people can do things to you that'll piss you off and just make you snap because you're like, I know how good I've been to this person and I know all of the things I've done to this person. And when you feel played, it just like opens up a different level of like hurt and anger. But sometimes, like in this particular situation, I broke up because, like, I mean, you cheating, you cheating, you cheating. You're not doing what you're supposed to do. You're not doing right. So, like, it's no point. It's no point, and
Now, Gavin,
that did not sit well.
well, Gavin, we're not talking about him anymore. We moved on. We're just talking about breakups.
But
So
Well, here's a,
it gets wild. Go ahead.
go ahead, Dave.
no, you go ahead. I just had lost my train. My mind is kind
Okay.
of in different places. Go ahead.
All right, well, let me jump in here with this. I'm not going to start with what I had. I'm going to jump in here halfway. And while I was doing my show notes, as y'all know I like to do, I'm not going to answer the question about what we do with men or how do men who aren't put together handle things. I'm going to ask a series of questions, but I'm going to juxtapose male behavior and female behavior. Now, I'm going to ask these questions and I'm going to give you a set of words. I'm going to give out 11 words. And I want everybody listening to assign a gender to the word. If you cannot, that is okay. You might want to get a pen and paper and keep track in your head or however you want to, and I'll do it slow enough so that people can react to it. All right. cry or crying, yell or yelling, protected, clean, children, punching, build, weapon, protector, military. And the bonus one, and David just mentioned this not too long ago, is balance.
Mm.
Now, Gavin jumped the gun. I didn't want him to do that, but he beat me to the punch. I allowed myself a category that I didn't give everybody else, and that was for a particular reason because I didn't want to get into a nuanced discussion about who has these characteristics. Because both men and women display these, they just are in different numbers. I had 1, 2, 3 for women. I had 1, 2, 3, 4 for men. I had balance for 4 of them. The thing about men is we are predisposed to aggressiveness, whether it's good or bad. It's just a characteristic trait that we're born with. As we age, we tend to mature. This is why you hear the talk of cooler heads prevail, especially among men, because we understand that when aggression comes into play, there's generally some harm that comes with that aggression, whether it's harm to a friend, a family member, or just a random stranger. We know that. We know at the end of that is coming out. That's why I was mentioned. That's why I came up with the list. Women generally don't strike, even with the increased amount of physical altercations they get into. That's not their default position. For men, a lot of men, it is. If you push a man to a point, he's done talking, he's going to act. Weapons, men generally use more so than women. Shaughnessy talked about this at the top of the show with the kid, with her getting out on the highway with the kid. Men aren't going to do that. Men might call the police, sit there and wait. But that's not a default position for us. Military, default position for men. Protector, default position for men. Men are by nature, most men are builders. Women cry themselves to sleep. Rarely do men do that. So these are the kind of attributes that each gender usually espouses more so as opposed to the other gender. Now, the thing, did you want to say something, Dave?
I was going to say,
Yeah.
what we don't think, but there are some men that cry themselves to sleep.
I was
You may
Yes.
not know about it,
Yes.
and that may be the issue with some because
Yeah, they're
nobody
not as vocal.
knows. Yeah,
Right. Men are not as vocal about their hurt and about their pain, and it tends to be it tends to turn into a bomb.
Yeah. Hmm.
And that's why vulnerability between males and in that male space is very important. Um, I know there's, certain friend groups of males where as though your homie may go through a breakup and be hurting, and their friends their friends want to just get them out, get them out, party, go crazy, have fun, where sometimes he needs something different. He needs emotional support. He needs to be able to release that pain, that sadness, that hurt versus going to the club, buying drinks, meeting different women. Sometimes he just needs to release that hurt and to get past it and get over it, go through it.
and
Go ahead,
and,
Dave.
and you got to have those friends that's willing to support you on that. All too often, you may have friends that they look at it as, oh man, excuse my language, man, fuck that shit, man. Man, you such and such, whatever. Don't let her get to you, whatever. We about to do this and do
Mhm.
that. And sometimes you really don't need this. And I'm gonna say this, and without saying any names, it was one time, one of my buddies, and he was about to just wreck shit up, the house and everything, throw out all clothes, do all of this stuff. And I just happened to
Mhm.
be coming down uh, the street, and he had stopped me, and then he like, "What's up?" And I was like, "Just getting off work." Then he's like, "Man, I'm about to do this." Then I'm like, "Yo, like, what is that? What is that gonna gain, man? You doing all this, it's only gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt her. It's gonna hurt your family." So after me just giving up, saying those few things, he's like, are you doing anything? Like, nah, I'm about to run in the house for a second. And then he's like, yo, could you just, go for a ride with me? And, went for a ride, didn't judge anything, just kind of listened to him, but then would chime in and give him feedback. But that was the kind of thing, just being there and being supportive, he ended up making the right decision where if I hadn't rolled down there, he was about to, like I said, just wreck shit up. And that's part of what men do, like the revenge factor, destructive behavior.
Yep.
So, which is going to hurt you in the long run when it comes out your pocket, and you're like, God damn it, I was tripping, and now I got to pay this and pay that. Now I can't get back on track because I did this. So sometimes you need someone that can say, "Hold on, man." Everybody need a no man or no woman in their corner. You just can't have a yes person. Okay, yes, because if you got somebody like that, as my grandmother would say, they ain't worth shit.
You know what the funny thing is? I I will tell this about myself. I don't know if this is going to work for anybody else. Frankly, it doesn't matter if it does. I'll take a benign situation. Think of the most benign situation you could possibly have in an everyday occurrence, and I take that situation and I run with it. And I run 100 miles an hour, and I think of all the worst things that I can do. Doesn't matter how horrific, how bad, and I let that play out. Takes 30 seconds. And then at the end of that scenario, I look back and I say, I don't want to be that kind of person. And I certainly don't want to create that kind of coverage for my my family, the people that know me or the people who associate with me. That's how I always maintain a balance between doing something rash and doing something measured. And it's like David said, a lot of men don't have that. They don't have the wherewithal to put the brakes on their own behavior, or they don't have anybody else to tell them about, or to talk them off the ledge, as his adage goes. And if you look at relationships that last between men and women, especially marriages, that man, since we're talking about men, will have a few things going for themselves. One, they're generally busy. Two, they're resourceful, and as Dave said, they have a network of family or friends who they can lean on or call for help. And Kevin Samuels used to say this all the time, and I think people didn't apply it entirely. He said, "You're only as useful as you are to the group." Now, a lot of people took that to mean just in terms of money and ideals. Sometimes you just need to get away, and you need to get away to where nobody can bother you, to where you can clear your thoughts, clear your mind, and you can reset, like I talked about with male mental illness. Reset that BOP, which stands for blowout protector. Got that from the movie Deepwater Horizon. Men should never, and I know this is gonna rub some women wrong, and I don't give a damn. Men should never get themselves emotionally wrapped up in a woman. Never. I don't care who tells you.
What?
Who I don't care. I don't
This,
care
this the
who
toxic
tells.
portion. This must be the toxic portion of the
I,
pod.
I, I'll lay it out for you. I don't care who tells you else. And here's why. If she breaks up with you and she's your world just came crashing down. If she leaves you in a divorce and takes your kids, not only has your world come crashing down, but the things that you had to live for have been taken from you. So, what situation mentally does that leave a man in if he has nothing to live for?
So so let me
Go ahead, Dave.
let me get this right. So you say
But why
they should
do
they shouldn't get emotionally wrapped up into a woman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I guess the other counter to that is in a relationship, if you're not getting emotionally wrapped up, are you looking at this as more so, okay, this is my partner, whatever, but is that when you equate her more to the business side of things to kind of, I don't know, like subdue the emotions, like this is my business partner, I'm not getting caught up into this love thing. I'm just wondering how that works when you coming from your frame of reference.
The reason why that is this: if you get two individuals who are emotionally unstable, what is the relationship?
Oh, if you got two that's unstable,
Yes.
freaking chaos, total chaos.
Which is why you don't do it. Women, I don't care what they tell you, they rely on a man to be, oh, excuse me, to be more emotionally stable than they are because a woman's default nature is emotional. That's not to say that men cannot be emotional. And the thing I want everybody to understand is this: the way young boys are being reared in Western culture is pushing more to that emotional side. This is why you see, and I'm sure you come across this often, Dave, with your kids, with your students, I should say. This is why you see these young boys that are incapable of dealing with certain situations without acting out. And what you get when you get a boy who's going through puberty, who's acting in an emotional state, is you get a boy who's ready to fight over the most silliest things imaginable. This is why you always hear girls telling boys to grow up.
But see, and that's the problem in my role, in a lot of other educators' role, because we can't say what we want to freaking say when you have those boys in there. Because if you say something like, "Yo, dude, stop acting like a girl," or whatever the case is, oh, that's gonna be major trouble. That's major trouble. But back in the days, if we heard something like that, we knew what it meant.
Right.
We knew what it meant. Like, okay, saying being a little on the softer side, whatever. Girls are usually on the softer side, but these kids take it as, "What you trying to say? I'm gay. What you trying to say, Mr. Glover? I'm gay." this is this is how this is how they take it. So again, all this stuff is fluff. At the end of the day, it's fluff. If you can't have courageous conversations with people, no matter what setting or what you're doing, I mean, I would hope as a professional, you know how to put a different spin on it. But if you can't have these courageous, authentic conversations, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah. I just I want to preface this. I'm not attacking anyone. I want to know what you mean a little bit better, Roxanne, by saying that's an unhealthy situation to make someone that important that you cannot exist without them, because that's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is this: if you go to your husband or your boyfriend with the situation that you in, do you want him to act like you? In other words, do you want him to take an emotional stance, or do you want him to take a more logical stance. Because if you go to him talking about she did this, she did that, I don't like it, I want to go do this, and he says, okay, let me go get the gun. Then what? That's not a logical response from a man. A man is going to sit down and say, hey, look, what happened? Do you need this? What do you need? Etc. So on and so forth. Think about all the situations that could occur for a woman to where she want to go home and vent. That's all she want to do. She don't want anybody hurt. She just wants to vent. But that guy's not thinking that way. He's saying, okay, you know what? I feel like going to jack something up. Just like David was talking about in his example. Let's go do this. Next thing you know, you got a house that's firebombed and somebody laying outside on the ground and need a medical attention. That's not what the average person wants. But you'll get that with men who are immature because they're impulsive, they're aggressive, and all of that unchanneled leads to chaos. This is why you see men in certain age demographics who are incarcerated. They're not incarcerated because they're dumb. They're incarcerated because they're impulsive and they didn't think. All the let's look at violent crime, and I'm going to take I'm going to exclude robbery where no one was hurt. And that's a violent crime. Violent crime is usually considered anything that happens to people where there's weapons involved or there's a loss of life. If they had taken 10 minutes to sit down and ponder the outcome of the situation, and like I said, ran that situation through for 30 seconds, do you think most of those people would have had a change of trajectory in their actions? Probably. Violence has rarely been a way to solve anything. The only thing true violence does is it sets a boundary of what one is going to accept and what one isn't going to accept. Think of all the wars that have been fought in this world. They've really been fought because somebody wronged somebody. They've been fought because somebody was aggressive unnecessarily and they tried to take something from somebody and somebody said, no, we ain't having that. We are not having that. If you want it, you're going to have to come step on our throats. That's the default position of a lot of men, which is why we don't have the wars that we have. We, believe it or not, even though what's going on between Russia and Ukraine, that doesn't happen as nearly as often as it used to. Think about it. For the first half of the 20th century, this world was embroiled in 2 world wars and countless ancillary wars that resulted in the death of well over 100 million people. To put that in perspective, just imagine if you could snap your fingers and 1/3 of the US population just disappeared. That's the amount of people that have died in wars just in the first half of the 20th century. This is why it becomes important for men to say, okay, you know what? Let's sit down, let's mediate this. Let's sit down, let's discuss this. Because we can all walk away with something and nobody has to get hurt. And ultimately, that should be the end game. But for a man who has lost everything, who's lost his wife, he might be losing his home, he might be losing his kids. He going for broke. He ain't listening to nothing rational. He don't care. He's of the mindset that if I can't have you, nobody will.
But see, that's where accountability has to come in.
But there is no accountability for a man that has nothing to be accountable to or for.
Meaning, like basically, this breakup wasn't on me, or what do you mean?
No. You're looking at it from a perspective, and it's not wrong. It's just different. You're looking at it from a perspective of who or what the catalyst is for the breakup. That's immaterial. Let me put it to you like this: you ever see the movie Trading Places?
No.
Watch the movie Trading Places for people who have not seen the movie. It's a microcosm of what I'm talking about. In the movie Trading Places, Eddie Murphy's a homeless guy. Two guys, the Mortimer twins, are rolling in dough. They hit a bad patch. Eddie Murphy hits a good patch, and this is all orchestrated. They flip positions. So now the things that Eddie Murphy used to do, the Mortimer twins are doing: sneaking, robbing, being thieves, because they had nothing out. They went from having it great to not having anything at all, and they're willing to do anything to get back. The only problem is when a man has lost his wife, his kids, his home, he can never get that back. Especially if you spent.
But why does a breakup have to equate to a man losing his children? That doesn't necessarily, especially when you're married, you don't necessarily, unless you do something to, render you a danger to those children, you don't necessarily lose your children.
Who usually gets the children awarded to them after a divorce?
But that's based on more than likely that's based on lifestyle. That's based on what you do, how you do it. Not all the time is there's always an option for 50-50, especially in a situation where both parties are in a stable position. But a lot of times, with being the protector and the provider, you may have those long hours or those difficult hours, and you may not be able to come home to your children or whatever every day at a certain time. So a lot of times that's why the women do in turn take the kids, but or we could put that in quotes, take the kids, but that doesn't necessarily mean you lose your kids. There's people that go 1 week on, 1 week off. There's people that, especially if they live in the same area, there's people that in their divorce settlement, they arrange that they're going to live within the mile radius of the zone schools.
Okay, well, let me ask you this question. With regards to divorced men, how many end up committing suicide?
I'm not
As a,
sure,
as
but
opposed to women. As opposed to women.
I'm not sure, but I would bet that would be a high number. I wouldn't
But
doubt
that's
that's not a high number.
but that's my point. For a man who has worked, who has toiled to provide, to all of a sudden not come home one day, or I'm sorry, to come home one day and not see what he labored for, that's a shock. That's a shock to reality. That's a shock to everything that he identified with. And when you don't have that, when you don't have the balance, you're left to ponder, or that man's going to be left to ponder and say, well, why am I here? This is why you see suicide notes that accompany a lot of men. There was, a matter of fact, I was watching um, on YouTube, and I plane crashes, and I can't remember. There was a couple other ones. There was a brother who worked for a plane company, had gotten passed over for a pilot, captain. I'm sorry, captaincy, because he wasn't checked or his luggage. He was able to sneak um a sledgehammer and a harpoon in a guitar case. And when the plane started to get airborne, just a bit, maybe a minute after takeoff, he tried to commandeer the plane using force. His plan was to commit suicide. He had lost his job, his wife, his marriage was falling apart, the kids were gone. He was in a one-bedroom apartment, nothing to live for. See, I think
But his mental state and mental capacity wasn't in a good place before that.
no, it
If
was.
you're emotionally healthy, and I get things happen that take you down and take you off, but if you are an emotionally healthy individual or somewhat emotionally healthy, When you start to get those feelings, you start to seek you start to seek help, and the help that you need that can possibly, I'm not saying everybody is a success story, but I think emotional health beforehand has a lot to do with that, because just like somebody said, you don't want to, I wouldn't say don't be emotionally invested or don't be emotionally wrapped up in a relationship, but you have to always remember to keep you first. Most of us
But
were
that,
born alone, we're going to die alone. So you
but
have to be able to realize that, you know, although this is something that I want forever, after this, if I'm not okay, I have to figure out how to be okay.
but that's precisely what I'm driving at. Patrice O'Neill, comedian, gotta love him. He did a skit that says, "Men want to be alone." I can't paraphrase it because he does it so well. But essentially, he lays out that a man sitting at home watching a game, feet up on the ottoman. I'm going to assume it was his wife comes in there, and by the time she's done, what he was doing is completely different as she gets done. I think a lot of women don't quite understand what it takes, and you said it yourself about marriage. Marriage you have to give. I don't think a lot of women quite understand that what men give in a marriage compared to what women give are completely night and day. What I mean by that is this: yes, women give of their body, they have kids, some sacrifice careers, and all the other things. For the large part of women, that's what they're built to do. And rarely can that be taken from them by a man. Rarely can that be taken from them by the law. In other words, there's no law that can stop a woman from having a kid. There's no law that can stop a woman from getting divorced. There's no law that can stop a woman from walking out of a relationship at will for whatever reason. Conversely, there are all laws that will penalize a man for doing that. So if you have kids and you walk away from that woman, child support gets you. If you're married to that woman, you decide to walk away.
Women can be on child support too.
Hold on, I'll come back to that. If a man walks out on a marriage, alimony, child support, you might lose the home. And I can't remember what the other thing is. Yes, women do pay child support at the rate of about 100 to 1 that of men. This is why there's an outrage among women now who are being forced to give alimony or palimony to their longtime male spouses because they're making money. Women don't think they should have to do that because that's not the system that they grew to know. This is why you're starting to see states now they're saying, okay, you know what? Giving women this power hasn't worked out to like we thought it was going to be. They assumed that women, when they took on that provider role, they were going to take on the entire provider role, not take it on piecemeal. And when they felt like it. See, men don't get that option. Men don't get the option to be a provider. Either you are or you get chucked. And what happens when you get chucked, like I said, and you don't have anything to live for? You come back with a vengeance because somebody's going to feel your pain, and all the help in the world is not going to help a man live who, A, has nothing to live for, and B, doesn't care if he lives. See, that's where the mental health aspect comes in, is to help somebody see that there's something to live for. But if you got an individual who just had that ripped away, good luck. I don't see how it can be done. I'm not saying it can't be. I'm saying mental health counselors out there, good luck to try to help a man put back together what he probably considers to be the most devastating thing that has ever happened to him, especially if he's between the ages of 40 and 50.
even if even if isn't that uh, deep with all the variables of marriage, kids, there's some guys it could just be regular relationships that can't let go.
Exactly.
Oh
Can't
no,
let go
absolutely.
without nothing to lose or whatever. And oftentimes, people share certain things with me in a case of I've tried to let this guy go for over a year, and he's still popping up outside my house, yelling my name, and I'm like, "Do you got kids?" By him? No. So I'm thinking like, the fuck? What the fuck? What do you want, dude?
I'm
What do you
telling you,
want?
the
What do
guy
you
that
want?
the guy that sat down for 2 years, I am telling you, we had nothing together. We had nothing together. Not even a cell phone bill. Like nothing together. So it just I don't know what I really think sometimes it's an ego and a pride thing, or sometimes it gets to the point where you feel like because you hold a certain value in this person's heart,
Hmm.
you take that for granted that you're in a safe space, so certain things that you do is forgivable. Another thing that I did learn, because this person that went to jail, this was a second relationship that I was in, where when I left and I decided to leave, things got violent. It was the second time, back to back. When I say back to back, right after. And I just got to a point where I'm like, dang, what is wrong with me? What am I doing that? And again, this is not me blaming myself, but you just have to, sometimes you have to self reflect, because how is it back to back? you know what are you doing to these people to make them go crazy, go
Let
berserk?
me let me let me answer that question. Kind of comically.
I
You
had
gotta
an
stop
answer
putting.
to it too.
You gotta stop putting their heads to them goddamn headboards.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's just two words. Either way you put it, baby face and whip appeal.
I don't
However you put
see,
it.
to me, I don't even think, see, I think that's a lazy answer, because it's pussy out here. It's a lot of it.
Hold on, hold. Oh, oh, women. I'm gonna give you a little tidbit from the wolf. Just because you got it, don't mean you got it. All right. There's some women out there who are Billy Shoemaker. I'm sorry, Billy Shoemaker, the jockey. And there's some women you rather slit your wrist with than go through that with them again. Men fake orgasms. If you don't believe it, I'm telling you because I've done it. Y'all ain't the same. Granted, you have the same anatomy. Some of you just can't use it. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but some of y'all don't get splinters from the wood, shall we say?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I
But
want to.
no, one thing I learned though in that process of figuring things out was, you and one of my friends told me this, and it sat with me, and she was an older lady. She actually was really vital in this relationship. Like, when I say we were just coworkers and friends. She just really clung to me in that moment. And she told me, she was like, baby, you never let a man know what you let another man get away with.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And when I say that stuck with me,
Collecting
that
data.
stuck with me. That stuck with me, because I'm like, you know what? One thing about somebody that, and it can go both ways. It can be you were already an abuser, or, that's something that grew in you. But once you kind of know that that person is in a vulnerable state, or will, I guess, think about things, because previously my thought process was, you know, I don't want to take this person the first time. I didn't want to take that person away from his children, you know, and I felt like, you know, a mistake, and I use that word lightly. A mistake is a mistake, you know. I don't want to change the course of your life for that mistake. Second time around, I was like, oh hell no, because at this point it's just a joke. But I really think that um, it's that emotional intelligence in really knowing, like I would say, like these a lot of women, they fall for, or they get into the guys that are the protectors, the guys that are the aggressive, just like you said. But you got to remember, if he's aggressive and he's that rah rah person, you may not be on the other end of it right now, but oh, it's gonna come. It's gonna come.
So we got two good comments. Could y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Tito said my affair experience was absolutely devastating. Uncontrollable panic attacks, anxiety, social anxiety absolutely broke my mind. Had to go on antidepressants.
Read the second portion
Wow.
of that if you can. You see it
He said, "Now
right underneath. Yeah.
was I weak? I don't think so. I was just so invested."
And that's what I meant earlier when I said men should not get emotionally involved, wrapped up in the relationship, because we don't function well in that realm. It's not something we do well. It's not our world. That's a world that is foreign to us. And most men don't develop the wherewithal to handle that until they get much, much older. When I say much older, I'm speaking 50s. So if you're dealing with a man who is under the age of 35 and that happens, you can forget it. He is just ill equipped to deal with it. Whether the man is betrayed or he does the betraying. This is why you see. Let's take this a step further and let's talk about infidelity for a moment with men. This is why you see men who go out and they stray from the wife. They come back home and they're forced to deal with the emotional damage they've caused, and they can't do anything. That's when you see a man who is truly powerless. And if you want to understand, if women want to truly understand what it feels like to be a man who's emotionally or who's powerless, take somebody who's in a straitjacket. They need a drink of water, and that drink of water is sitting right there on the table from 2 feet from them, and they need to drink that water within a minute, or they're gonna die. Keep in mind they're in a straitjacket. That's what it's like to be a powerless man. And the sooner women understand, I'm not saying you have to agree with it. You have to understand that when you see a man like that, he's been emasculated in ways nobody ever wants to be. And that's why men snap.
And let me read Roxanne's comment. She said, "I think they don't necessarily want us, but want access to what we can provide."
Yes.
There are some Melvins. There are some Melvins that realize
I agree.
that they got a pot of gold, and like I can't let this
They
go.
messed that bag up.
Yeah,
You
and
fumbled
they'll
that
and
bag.
they'll and that'll be the conversations what they have with their boy. Oh man, she her paycheck, she bring it home, this or that, and she dry this or that, and they glory. and
Yeah.
some of the
or
guys
not
kind of
even
figuring out.
material. It's just what sometimes like as all humans, we get caught up in that moment and on not in if I do this, this is what the 80-20 rule. 80-20 rule. I'm out here chasing this 20, but I lost the 80 and the 80 was much more important and they don't even realize that in the beginning or when they're taking those actions that it's not even worth it, and that is a part of maturity.
All men mature at different rates, and this is something another thing that I'm working on. If we look at the dating landscape today, it is not, at least for David and myself. So honestly, you might be slightly, well, actually, you will be for two different reasons. One, because you're age, and two, because you're a female. So you're more than likely, not to say this happens for everybody, every woman all the time, more than likely you're still going to be pursued, regardless of what the dynamics are. Take an hourglass.
I get you. That is a very important point.
Take an hourglass and move the middle of that hourglass up until it gets about an inch from the top. You're going to have a set of men who are going to get everything they want from a woman. All those men below the choke point, they're fighting for it. And if one of those guys happens to be fortunate enough to get what the top guy gets and it's taken from him, his reaction is going to be starkly different than it is for the guy at the top. The guy at the top is not going to care. He said, I can get another one of you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And that's the thing, whatever. Like the guys at the top or somebody who has that confidence and the belief in themselves, they know they got options.
Mhm.
So they don't have to act like that. They know they the big fish.
Yeah.
So but the other guy, he know running out. Especially if he got a thoroughbred,
Yeah.
a
Oh, yeah.
nice little thing, and like, man, he don't want nobody else to have because he knows that, damn, this opportunity ain't coming again. So I got to do whatever I got to do to hold on to that, even if it's against her will.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the issue
Yeah.
because the
Yeah.
big fish just say, easy come, easy go.
Right.
Another duck. She ain't no kid. I don't give a fuck. So they moving on.
Yeah.
And that was some
And,
old shit. That was some
yeah.
old shit my
Yeah.
boy used to say back in the days. I was like,
I
you so
was just
stupid.
about to say, what in the cat, daddy?
Oh, they ain't heard the half of them, man. Yeah, man. Oh, bro. Yeah, we all wanted to be rappers back in the day, so we all had something in the closet to say to explain the situation. So, I mean, it's tough. This brings me back to what I was going to talk about earlier, or something I was going to talk about earlier. For those of you who don't know, and it really is immaterial, Shannon Sharp, NFL Hall of Famer, younger brother of Sterling Sharp, talk show host on First Take, of course, with Skip Bayless. They're no longer doing the show, from what I understand. Skip asked him a question. Skip said, "What is the hardest thing you've ever had to do in your life?" Shannon's answer was, "Be a black man in America." I'm going to take that statement and I'm going to expand on it to just being a man in America. Society still wants men to do everything men have always done, but receiving less for it. Everything that this society says that a man should do, if he can't do it, he's deemed worthless. And if he tries to overcompensate, he's deemed toxic. This is why you hear all this chatter about, oh, he think he this because he has this type of money, or he can command this type of women, or whatever the other situation is. As Kevin Samuels used to say, men keep score in very simple ways. fighting, fucking, and finances. Those are the three markers that most men use to keep score. This is why, I've said this once before, and I'll say it again. Men, when you get down with a woman, keep your goddamn mouth closed. Just because she does it with you doesn't mean she does it with everybody. She doesn't have to. And I know the whole thing about, well, she says she doesn't do this with everybody. Do you think she's always lying? Because I know there's some women that I've done things with that I know they haven't done with anybody else. And I'm not going to tell you how I know that. That's proprietary.
I was just about to say how you
That's
how
proprietary.
you know, because you can always pretend.
No. Trust me. There's some things that happen to you that you ain't gonna pretend about, and I'm gonna just leave that right there. That's that's Anita Counselor's Corner after dark talk right there. She ain't here, so we not gonna beat those kind of
Oh
topics.
Lord.
But seriously, women have lines that they will cross for certain men, unquestionably. And they have things that they're not going to do for certain men. Because certain men get women to do certain things. Not necessarily good, not necessarily bad. Rom calls them Mr. Goodbars. When Mr. Goodbar walked by, that woman's like, ooh, girl, he can do anything he wants to me. Where do you think that statement comes from? The next man walked by, he could sniff my dirty underwear. I don't make this stuff up. I just tell you about it. And I'm sure.
What does that mean, Shaughnessy?
I have no
You're the only
idea.
woman on here.
I have no idea.
You-
I, I you know, I feel like that goes that I feel like that goes hand in hand with submission too, where we had
Yes,
so many men talking about, oh, women are not submissive and blah blah blah. You have to make me want to be.
but that's just it right there, Shaughnessy. And I'm glad you said that. Some men don't have to make a woman want to do anything. It's their aura.
Well, yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. So when I say
Okay.
you have to make me want to, meaning
Okay.
what you do, how you do things, and how you operate
Mm-hmm.
has to make me feel confident enough in you, in your abilities to say, okay, I trust in you this much that I'm gonna go with it. I may not even agree with it, and I may
Yes.
think it's the stupidest thing in the world, but I trust in you that much that even if it fails, you're gonna figure it out for it to be better
Yeah.
or to fix it.
Yeah. Like I said, there's some things that one man will get because he's that man, and there's some things that one man ain't gonna get because he's that man.
Right, right.
It's the absolute craziest thing in the world. And in order for an individual to really understand it, they have to go through it. This is why you will hear.
And people, what a lot of people, I see it on this page a lot in the group a lot.
Mhm.
People think it's just the man that's loud and rah 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 and in your face and oh, I'm alpha male and blah blah blah, hear me raw. A lot of the times it's not even them. It's not even them. I know particularly the person that I'm dealing with now. It reminds me also of my grandfather, who he is not gonna sit there and fuss with my grandmother. He said what he said. She don't agree, and she could fuss all she want. It's gonna go how he said he wanted to go, and he not gonna argue. He even killed. He not okay. All right. If he said we going to Six Flags instead of Dorney Park, I bet you we going to Six Flags.
Big
And she
dog on the
gonna
block.
pack that cooler and all that. And she might be at Six Flags with her arms folded, but you know where we gonna be,
Big dog has barked.
right? So
and
you
ain't
know
nothing
you
else.
you have to build on that, and that's something that one you have to you don't just necessarily come into a relationship starting off with that confidence in that other person, or you can present yourself in certain ways at the beginning of the relationship, or have had experiences where it's like, yeah, I am going to trust you in what you're doing and how you're doing it. So I'm gonna just believe what you say. I'm gonna go with it.
Some men are, they're bold enough, first of all, to actually demand something, and then they're confident enough to where if they don't get it with that individual, they'll step out to the next individual because they know they can get it. It's the old. It's like
Absolutely.
it's like.
we
Go ahead, Dave.
we always talk about some guys are going to travel the path of least resistance,
Mhm.
and they may say, "Hey, I'm gonna sacrifice." She doesn't look as good as she doesn't look as good as Shaughnessy, but man, I don't have to put up with this these frustrations over there. I know I go over there, she's gonna cook, she's gonna do everything. I say she's gonna make sure I have everything. But damn, Shaughnessy finer than a motherfucker. But I just can't go through. I can't go. I got too much going on. Too much going on in the workplace. Got my
Right. I don't want to come home and she
yeah,
talk back.
got my kids going on. Got to deal with the mother. I just can't do that right now. But if
Right.
I'm dealing with her, she ain't saying shit. She just happy I'm here.
Yeah,
She
Hmm.
appreciate me. This is where I'm gonna be.
yeah. That's why you'll find.
But I feel like sometimes those women are not. I feel like everything is give and take. Like a lot of times, the women like, and I said it on a post the other day, where as though they're like, these foreign women, they're ready, willing, and able to do what to do what it is and do what it do. But at the same time, that woman is looking for somebody to save her, so she has to do it. She has no option but to be compliant, because at the end of the day, whether you're gonna upgrade her anyway, nine times out of ten, you could have the bare minimum. You could be the general manager at a daggone fast food restaurant, but at the end of the day, you're still going to upgrade her life. That's not something that she is used to. That's a position that she's been in before. So she is going to be willing, ready, and able. Whereas though, somebody that is in America that does have, third world problems that we complain of, you're not going to be able to come to me with the minimum.
so
So
let,
sometimes targeting foreigners because of that, to me, is lazy.
let, let me ask you this, sir. Even far as like the passport thing. So is the goal is to go get one of them and bring them back to United States, or you just go over there and just chill or whatever?
That's gonna depend largely on the man and his financial circumstances. And what COVID did is COVID ushered in a lot of remote work. So men that are in the STEM field, who all they need is an internet connection, they're going overseas, and they are marrying these women, but they're not necessarily marrying the women that specifically that Shaughnessy is talking about. And what I mean by that is this: the type of women that Shaughnessy is talking about, those men are gonna meet in places of ill repute, so bars, nightclub, massage parlors. The men who are actually going over there to set up shop, they're gonna have these women filtered. So they're going to go meet their father. If she's in the village, they're going to go meet the villagers. She's going to come, um, um, I won't say pre-selected. She's going to come authenticated in terms of what the village has groomed her to be.
I ain't about to do all that shit.
Well, no, but that's what these men are doing to safeguard one, their money, two, their progeny. And that's the most important thing to some of these people over there is the lineage that's going to be produced from this union. So if you're going over there to to get a wife to secure your legacy, absolutely you're gonna ensure that that woman who's going to mother your kids, teach them, educate them, she's up to your standards. See, that's what a lot of people don't talk about when they talk about the passport bros. Because shout out to Manuel, he posted a very, very um concise video of a man who had a friend who had committed, he self-deleted, and he was spending bundles of money to try to get a female he met in a bar. Those aren't the type of men that the passport bros are going to seek. Now they may go have some fun with them. I'm not saying that they don't, but those aren't the ones that they're necessarily going to seek and marry. And people have to also keep in mind that this is not new. Passport Brothers is not new.
But hold
It's
up, you
just
talk about you talk about Manuel who said 40 or 50-year-old man can't scoop up 20 and 30-year-olds that said it's dead.
That's a lie.
he,
Yeah.
That's a lie.
I love Manuel though because he possesses different dynamics. So shout out to
Yeah,
Manuel.
he was a good he was a character. He was good people. I
But
liked him. I
yeah,
enjoyed him.
but the thing about it, yeah, but that's the thing about it. People act like I said, it's new. Mail order brides have been talked about for generations. Look at our former president. Where is his wife from?
Trump.
Yeah, it's not new. It's not new. Men had been
Well,
seeking,
that is an amazing businessman. So, you know,
but that's my point. We have men, regardless of their ethnicity, who are able to make that jump, but you don't hear about them because they keep their business private. And I keep and I've said it once before, and I'll say it again. As long as you're a man, you keep your business out of the public limelight. Guess what? Nobody will ever know. Think about it. How many people know who Denzel's wife is? Her name, what she looks like.
not many at all.
And even when you think about Savannah, a lot of people don't know who that is. If you just had a picture of her,
Right.
you're like, who is
Yeah,
that?
she just started being like more active
Yeah,
via social media and stuff.
but she
Wait,
Which
and
I
understands.
appreciate that because me,
Yeah.
I don't want the attention. Please no. And not to say I don't want to say I want to be a secret, but I still want to be able to go to Target.
yeah,
It,
but
it,
that's the thing. You have women who live to be in the spotlight, and do you have women who understand that they don't need to be in the spotlight because they're being taken care of, that their man does all of that. He provides. He's supposed to be in the spotlight. I'm gonna sit back here. I'm gonna play co-pilot and take care of the home, make sure the kids are set. When he comes home, I'm gonna take care of him. I don't have anything
but
else to do.
see, my issue with that is a lot of men, or I can't say a lot of men. The men that are vocal about these things, they want these things, but they're not providing the opposite side of it.
Correct. Absolutely. And those are, we're gonna get into this on another show, but I'll just give you a little teaser. This is why female mate selection and choice is huge. Women can't afford to be wrong. And I know that goes against everything that we talk about in the red pill circles and things of that nature. But we'll get into that by and by, as Obsidian just to say. Obsidian says we'll get into that by and by because there's a particular reason and a vein that goes down. It's not to be diffused through everything. There's a particular vein that goes down. So we'll, like I said, we'll address that because I got a bunch of stuff that I'm working on. But that's the thing, and because, and look at, matter of fact, let me change up a little bit. Pimps, they're able to get into a woman's psyche because they understand how she's wired. Shout out to BGS. This is esoteric too. They're able to, and I'm going to use the word manipulate, but not necessarily in a bad thing. They're able to manipulate a woman in a way that the average man can't. So they can get her to get out there and do the things that she would otherwise be adamantly opposed to because she's committed to him. She's committed to the cause. She's committed to be his top chick. And that's the thing that a lot of fathers can input into their women and say, hey, look, and to the children, daughters specifically, and say, hey, look, one day you're going to get out here and you're going to be responsible for navigating this world. You're going to be responsible for who you let into your womb. Make sure that even if you don't plan on marrying this guy, that if something happens, he's going to be a stand-up man. Because that's where we're headed right now. That's where Western culture is headed right now, is that people are getting together, they're having sex, some unprotected, birth control pills, whatever the case is, and they not had that discussion. That discussion has never taken place. And people say, well, why does it need to? Because you always need to have that on deck. That if and this is what I say about people, I say you'll get some people that will have sex with you quicker than they will tell you about something that embarrasses them. I don't get it. I'm not I'm wired differently, but that's me. I understand not everyone's me, but that's the thing that people have to get biased. They need to say, okay, look, I'm making either a physical decision for men or an emotional decision for women that has the potential to change my life forever. People don't give that weight. So when you don't give it that weight and you do the deed and something happens, all of a sudden now you're forced to deal with the reality you never thought was going to occur. That's why I believe it's important for people, particularly women, to initiate that conversation. And if that man is unwilling to sit there and have that conversation with you, is he worth the 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes, 30 if he's that good, that you're going to give him? I would tell you no. I would tell you far side, pass him on by. Find the next bus. Find the next bus that has the nice plus seats, got the TV monitor, got your drink, whether it's wine or whatever the case is, and they're going to massage your feet. And if you can't find one, you got to be willing to hold out. And a lot of people, some women, they're not willing to hold out. They're saying, you know what? What if I don't get another one like him? And that's where the woman needs to be, that kind of woman. Because I read on posts all the time. There aren't any good men out here. Or there aren't this out here. There are all these dogs out here. I'm thinking, you attract what you project. And if you are only attracting no good men, worthless dogs, that's saying something about you. I ain't saying nothing about me. I ain't saying nothing about the men. They're saying something about you. Because a woman of stature, when she walks into a place, most men are already gonna know, you know what? I ain't got a shot with that chick. I ain't even gonna try and approach that chick. It reminds me one day, me and my older brother was in the store. We saw a sister. She was already legitimately about 5'11". She had on about 2.5-inch, 3-inch heels. Me and my brother looked at her and was like, yeah, we ain't on her level. And then he said to me, we're not on her level physically or any other level. That's what people have to understand. When they say there's levels to this, there's levels to it. And hey, if you got a water gun, shoot at water targets. If you got a gun to shoot rounds, then you shoot at the appropriate target. But hey, some people are trying to aim out of their comfort zone in hopes of getting lucky, and I ain't mad
And
at
I'm
it.
glad you said that, because I feel that's the same on both ends too, for females too, because sometimes there are men that like this today. This guy tried to pay for my gas, and I just was like, "Oh no, thank you. I'm not even getting gas. I just pulled up to the pump because, sir, I'm not gonna waste your time or mine. Why would you think what?" And I had to look in the mirror, like, "What the heck? Do I look crazy? What would make him think that he can even talk to me?" And I'm not saying I'm not a vain person. It's just like he had his pants sagging. He had on these like, boy, get on my face. Get on my face, sir. No, no, thank you.
Was he about your age?
I think so. I think so.
And see, that's the thing.
He had no haircut. It was just bad. It was all bad.
Well,
He thinking cream.
yeah, some of
Cancel
them
everything
dudes just
around.
reckless. They
But I
just
love
don't
your
care.
confidence. I love your confidence.
But see, and that's the thing. Now take that brother, drop him in a BMW I 325, 328, and he does that same thing. You might receive him differently.
No, even if you a nigga, you
No,
still
no,
a
no.
nigga in the
I'm not.
coop.
No, no. Hold on. I'm not saying you would let him pay for your gas, but depending on what your situation is, of course. But you might be intrigued enough to find out more about him.
No,
Okay.
no. Cause I mean there like there's still men that can just to make it simple, they could buy my life. They still sag in their pants. They still don't can't put a good sentence together.
No,
I
no, no. But that's what
still
I'm
not.
talking. But that's what I'm talking about when I said take that brother and polish him up and make him so he's one of those kind of men that's articulate, well spoken, career oriented, driven. He
This
has those
ain't Build the
intents.
Bear.
No, no, I'm saying he has
I'm
those
messing with you.
intangibles.
I'm messing with you. Yeah.
And if he steps to you, you might receive him differently. That's what I was saying. But you said no, so I let it go.
Yeah, I guess it is all in how you present yourself.
Most women would check out the scene. I'm not saying they would they would do anything with him. But if he invited them out to dinner and said, "Hey, look, I like what you look like, such. Here's my business card. You know what? Let's meet up for drinks, or let's do this, or let's do that." Most women will say, "You know what? I have nothing to lose. I'm going to go home, get dialed up, or whatever it is, and I'm going to meet him out." What does she have to lose?
But
I guess.
I think it would initially have to be something that would drive someone to have that interest.
Yeah, because
Yo,
I'm not
add
gonna just talk to everybody with a
yeah,
business card and a Benz.
it,
Some
it,
women
it,
do.
it has to be a serious power play or something, some small subtle thing that he
Right.
did, to like wow, okay, he did this. This caught my eye. This caught my interest, or he smelt like this, or whatever. It has to be something because if that's the case, then shit, people just go for dog food, and I don't think a lot of people. I ain't gonna say a lot, but it is people that fall for certain things. But I think certain women have certain standards,
Sure.
and it has to be something that's kind of uncommon that might separate you from the pack.
Right. Right.
That's different.
Hey, I'm just I let me I'll say this. Having worked in a casino, I've seen a lot of men be able to pull women just walking through the spot. Just walking through. They got women coming after them. And this is what celebrities do. Celebrities capitalize on their fame. Think about how often the celebrities walk through a place and they ain't had to say nothing to nobody.
Well,
And what's behind them? A
that
waking woman.
that's That's different. But if you think about someone that's making 30, 40 to say 120,000,
Hmm.
what may be the difference? How would somebody know?
Well, they wouldn't. And this is the trick. That same man who's making about 45 a year, he won't have the women behind him. He's going to have the women with him. So all he's going to have to do is make a call. He let's matter of fact, let's do somebody in close proximity to Niagara Falls. He's got a couple females here. He's got a couple females here. He says, "You know what? I'm coming through to your area. I'm in town on some business. Why don't we go hang out?" They hang out. They do what they do. He on to the next city. Same thing. He's got women strategically placed. He may not have the throngs, but he's got a couple few sprinkle here. He's got a couple few sprinkle here, and they're willing to do what he wants to do with them. See, and I know I use the example of a man in a I series. I'm sorry, I'm getting my cars mixed up. In a 3 series or a 328. But there are men out here who don't earn that kind of money, 6 figures and up, that have that kind of call when it comes to women. So whether it's his charm, the way he speaks, the way he holds himself, the conversations he can hold, and women just look at him and just say, "I don't know what it is about you, but I want to find out." That happens more than we are willing to acknowledge because these brothers aren't putting it out there like that. That's why I keep saying, if you
But
want more, say less.
but see,
Brothers
those
are
are the dudes that are not causing this havoc in the original
yeah,
um, premise of the show.
right,
Like
absolutely.
why are guys being violent? Again, I think it's the guys that probably don't have no limited options.
Yeah,
Probably didn't have a strong
That's not
relationship.
even true, though. That's not true that they don't
Yeah.
have limited options. Cause
But-
no, I'm not that. No, they go crazy and they. I'm telling you,
but
I don't think it's about the options. Cause
you
I think yeah.
I guarantee you, while that man sat down, I bet you there was somebody 2 years that was putting money on that book on them books, and I can't even say somebody. There were people. I
Well,
bet you he came home
well
with some
then
clothes and
then something
everything.
cognitively is off with him
That's what I'm
because
saying. It's just I think it's
yeah,
emotional intelligence.
yeah, because somebody with emotional intelligence go say, I'm not about to lose shit behind this, and I can
Right.
right.
go over here, and I don't have to worry about that. It's just a simple choice, whatever the
Ego.
case is.
I'm telling
Yeah,
you that
a lot
ego
is a
is
super ego and stuff like that. Like I
right.
don't want to
It's
let that go. I don't want to have
right.
visions of somebody being with her, and
And you know
I'm
you
losing
fumbled
it,
that
whatever.
bag. Yep.
But again, also plays into that is other goals and shit you have in place outside of
Yeah,
your job that
right.
keeps your mind occupied. If you come around and you do the same thing, say for example, somebody work at a plant and they make good money, but are they really thinking on the job? It's just like a repetitive thing going down the assembly line. Then they come home, crack open some beer, Corona, Hennessy, whatever, drink, watch a little
You know
sports,
that
go
is a
back,
good point. That's a
then go
very
back
good
to
point.
work, and that's that. But they feel like, okay, I put all this into her, and oh, she gonna do me like that? Fuck no. It ain't going
Right.
out like. But somebody that's got creativity and got other stuff on their mind.
And I'm still, even though I'm in a good place, so I'm where I want to be, I still want to see sky's the limit. So I do have more to attain. So I may be less likely to go off because I still
Yeah.
have things that I'm working to. That makes sense.
So that may be their approach or whatever. Like I'm not about to get caught up out there. I'm not about to let that person take me there. But I understand your point, Sean. I see that it's a lot of guys that like they stuck on that, and that's just that. Hey, if I can't have you, nobody will. But we know that plays out true because
Yeah.
a lot of times people lose their life because of that, and it's unfortunate.
N-
It's crazy as hell to me. If you that hurt or whatever, off yourself. Don't do it to somebody else that they lose uh the kids lose their mother or whatever the case is. It
And
just
that's my thing, which doesn't make sense to me because a lot of the times it's just like now you don't have nothing and I don't have nothing. Like you're gonna be in jail or I'm gonna be dead. Like so, what's next? Like again, it's that mental health and that emotional intelligence to think of what's next or what the outcome, potential outcome of this is gonna be.
and that's why I said in school 50-50 down the fucking line 50-50. Some courses dealing with social emotional intelligence and all that stuff, and then the other stuff. That's the only way. This what we got going on right now is not working.
Right.
It's
And
not
people have
working
to
at
start
all.
having conversations with their kids that are not just lectures, but are question based. Because a lot of the times I'll ask the question to my children, what was the expected outcome? So you did that, and then what? What you thought was going to happen next? And then that gets your mind going. And I don't even have to tell you you were wrong. What did you expect next? And then you get your wheels get to turn, and you like, damn, that was dumb. Because
But see, you're coming from a different higher level of questioning. You got to realize some of these parents,
Yeah.
all they know to cuss and rant and
Yep.
carry
Yep.
on.
Yep.
Still, they not even at that level. Sometimes the
Correct.
kid is the most stable person in the
in a
household.
household, yeah.
Hmm.
So it's so much damage control that we dug ourselves in,
Mm-hmm.
and it's amazing because as an educator, you sit around these meetings and I'll be like, these stupid fucks still go talk about this shit. And I'll be totally my body language be like, really? Because I'm too far into it. I didn't heard it all. I ain't gonna say seen it all, but been a part of a lot of stuff and like can't like are y'all serious? Y'all gonna keep going on with this and think something's gonna change? It's not. It's not unless individuals change. And people we talk about this week after week. You got to hit the homes and you got to deal with individuals and that's the key thing.
Yeah.
um, Having solid people in households. Got to have at least one solid person.
Yeah.
One.
And yeah. And to what you were saying, David, you look, if we look at the homes in America and their composition in terms of parents, a lot of kids are coming from single parent home. Doesn't matter what the ethnicity is. It's just a trend in the United States and in Western cultures in large part. So, to say what you're saying, Shaughnessy, is easier said for most than it's going to be done. And that's what David's alluding to is that you got some of these kids that are better read than the parents, more articulate than the parents, and they're less impulsive than the parents. We talked about the incident in Chicago a couple weeks ago. It's almost a case, or that's the incorrect way to phrase that. It's like the the kids are running the homes. So if the kids are running the homes, then what are the parents doing? That's the scary question. You got people out here, full grown physical adults with juvenile mindsets, capable of producing more of them and not able to instruct them. And then we wonder why we get these boys with this wayward sense of understanding and they can't control themselves. They say, you know what? My mom did it. I can do it. But the only problem is just like just like Roxanne said, they could have childhood issues that they carry into adulthood, and that's exactly what it is. You get these boys who are 14, 15, who are accustomed to behaving a certain way. All of a sudden, they turn 18, 19, and they're still behaving the same way because nobody's told them that's inappropriate and that can get you locked up. They end up locked up for something stupid. All of a sudden, now they're in the system. They get out after something seemingly innocuous, and they can't find a job. So they become a Melvin. They become a street hustler. They get with a female who's seemingly okay.
Oh, Melvin.
They abuse that female, and next thing you know, they have a felony. They're having a felony for domestic violence. Now they really can't get a job, and they really on the prowl. So they get back out after another 5 year stint. This is the second bid. They done spent 7 years of the 28 years on this planet incarcerated, so they don't know anything, and the cycle just repeats itself. It's like the movie. I know y'all hate my movie references, but I'm gonna put it out there anyway. It's just like the movie American Me. If you've never seen the movie American Me, there's a section in there, and it's tragic. But I will tell you, watch the movie and pay attention towards the end, how he behaves towards that woman.
I'm gonna need you and Dr. Anwar to have y'all movie podcasts and y'all critique movies, whatever.
Doc
uh,
Day.
I want to read Tito's comment. He said, "Damn, you pinpoint that work your ass off as a man in a plant. Hustles the most you have ever made that year in your life to find out about an affair when you have been faithful. Yeah, that breaks you."
Yeah, and that's a sad situation. I would definitely say that's a sad situation, and that would hurt anybody. But again, you still have to have that emotional intelligence and try to. That's where, I wish men had more friends that, they can lean on to go over to their friend's house, go to their boy's house, and just let loose. Like, man, I'm hurting.
And that's key, and that safe space. And you have to have that, and it's chronicle that many men don't have a safe space that they could talk. So a lot of times we suppress our feelings, and then things explode, erode into situations, and then that's when you have certain situations. People are like, I would have never thought he would have did that. Oh my God, I can't believe he did that. Like, he was such a good worker. He was quiet. He kept to himself. He never bothered anybody. But when you start thinking about it, then you're like, and key words come up, like he kept to himself. He never bothered anybody. He was quiet. Could have been suppressing those
Right.
feelings
Yep.
all that time, and something happened in the household,
Mm-hmm.
and went off. And then that's when I made reference to one of my classmates, that I would have never thought he would have did that. But again, we were kids. But now, as I get older, I'm like, damn, man, they just gave it up all, like, in jail for life, whatever, like stabbing your wife, stabbing your kids. Like, it can't be that bad. But he tried to plead the dissociative disorder, like I couldn't remember. I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't realize this happened until I realized I had blood all over my, like, it's just, that's really troublesome and bothersome to take it to the point to do that to a woman, and then to your kids. To your kids, like, yo, you fucked up. Like, I don't, that makes me very sad to even think that, for like, down the line that you don't have enough control to be able to walk away. But who am I to judge on that? And far as Tito, I'm not taking no shots at people that work plant jobs, because there's some solid dudes that they made a good fortune. They got a good life, and then some of them have fellowship with people that they come together and they have safe spaces. And I think the people who don't, that's when they end up in the shit that we're talking about. But there is some solid people that work at plants, and they're in basketball leagues, they're in bowling leagues with different people, and they're networking and they're getting out there and they're doing different things. And I think that's important too, to always
Yeah.
have something that you
Yeah.
can do on your own
Mhm.
without your significant other, that you enjoy, that you're passionate about. When you don't have no other passions, because a lot of times certain jobs you go there like, I get paid good, but you're really not happy. You're just trying to get through the shift. You gotta have something you're passionate about, something you're doing. Even if it's not bringing money or whatever the case is, but you enjoy doing it, it's something you got to explore.
Yeah. Hobbies. Hobbies are vitally important to men. Uh, this is why you see it in commercials. You see a father out there working on an old big block Chevy, and the wife is out there every day. You out here doing this. Why? Because it gives him something to do. It's something that's just like I said with the Patrice O'Neill thing. Sometimes men just need to be busy doing nothing. I know that. Why would you want to be busy doing nothing? Because you're busy. Because eventually you'll get to a point in your life where you're not working. So you're going to need to preoccupy your time doing something. And while that nothing may seem like nothing, like fishing, take fishing. Most people think fishing is a nothing thing. You get a man that'll go out, fish for a couple hours, and come back home, and somebody asks him, "What'd you catch?"
I don't know why I can't hear nothing.
Can you hear me? And they'll say, "What did you catch?" And the man will say, "Oh, nothing." Well, why did you go? Because it allows me to be busy. Yeah, but you're not catching anything. Catching fish isn't the point. It's getting out of the house. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
I think it might be. Dave, go back out and come back in. Because I think it might be his connection. Because I heard you trying to see. But anyway, let me finish. Some people will say, I can hear you, Dave. I can hear you, Mike. And some people will say, well, but you never catch anything. It's about being busy out in the world. It's about not sitting at home wasting away. It's productive in a non-productive manner because you're not sitting at home, you're not agitating your wife, you're not agitating the kids, you're not agitating anybody. You're going out and you're just being. And sometimes for a man to just be, sometimes is all we need. We don't need to go out and conquer the world every single day. We don't need to go out and build something every single day. We just need to be a part. We need to be physically present. And that's like I said, I'll keep alluding to the Patrice O'Neill skit because that's what he's talking about. He's just saying, hey, sometimes as a man, being is good enough, especially when you've done everything that you need to do. Think about, let's look at it like this. A father shows up at his son's game. Doesn't matter if it's soccer, baseball, whatever the case is. He doesn't cheer. Son comes in, Dad, did you see what I did? Yes, you did well. People say, that's your son? Yeah, you don't make any noise. I don't need to. I didn't come here to necessarily cheer or jeer. I came here to support my son. And you know what? Being here is all my son wants. And some people never really truly grasp such a basic concept. They think you got to be vocal, you got to be rah, 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 you got to be this, you got to. No. Sometimes your presence
What's going on here?
is more than enough. I can hear you, Dave. It's having some type of issues with either with his audio or something. But that's simply what it is. It's just being
Where's my
tough concept, but that's what it is.
Yeah. Hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully, now that we're on this trend of, and I say trend because now that it's being made okay, everybody is doing it with this trend of mental health and going to therapy. I'm hoping we start to gain some emotional intelligence, and it's not something that we look at each other as weird because you have a therapist, and we start getting smarter and start making better decisions.
I think ultimately a lot of that stuff starts at home. You know, if you have parents who are open, first of all, they got to be open and honest about the things that they experienced as a kid. Then when that kid gets to that point, they can just say, okay, wait a minute. I recall speaking to my mother or father, or even an older brother, and they encountered this situation, what they did. I'm not going to do what they did. I'm going to take a different life path. And that's where the the whole therapy thing actually starts, is when you can say, okay, you know what? I know that doesn't work. I know going out, getting drunk, and this is what Al Anon is about. Going out, getting drunk doesn't solve anything. Because the same problem that compelled me to drink is going to be there when I sober up. So I need to go ahead and address this problem. So when I wake up tomorrow, it's no longer a problem. I can move on to the next thing in life. That's why open and honest dialogue inside the home is far and away above and better than any therapy that you can ever get. Because all therapy is going to do is point you to the root cause of whatever it is that you're struggling with, and they're going to tell you to address it. So either way, you're going to have to come back to whatever it was that sent you to therapy anyway. So just
Right,
address
right.
it. So be preemptive about it.
still killing me?
Get to the home,
We can
get it
hear
addressed.
you.
He can't hear us though.
Oh, oh, oh.
He might be having a speaker issue. And I don't have a phone, so I can't even message him. He's got his speaker got to be unplugged somewhere. But I mean, those are the things, that I always tell people, speak to people in your community. Speak to an elder and see how they dealt with certain things when they were your age. Because there's some problems that these kids are having now that we didn't have.
Right,
You know,
right.
certainly I didn't have. How do you deal with somebody who's stalking your Facebook page, who's taking shots at you via social media? That shit didn't exist.
Right.
Yeah, we had our bullies, but hell, if you don't
But
leave out
we also, right, and I was just about to say that it's crazy because nowadays, where I'm one of them parents that some things I can't even say one of them parents because I'm not necessarily one of those parents. I grew up in a time where certain situations y'all just gonna have to swap it out. Y'all just gonna have to, yeah. But it's not like that nowadays because you have to worry about somebody want to go run and get the gun, and
right, yeah, the
it's
days of
different. It's so
yeah,
different.
the days of squaring up, and yeah, them days are gone. I don't know if it made stronger people. I just know it resolved a lot of nonsense. And when I say a lot of nonsense,
Right.
I mean a lot of things that should have never occurred.
Right. Exactly. And it now everybody could chill on the block together
hmm
because we
And that's what
swapped
it
it out.
was.
We good. We
Yeah.
got over it. And I mean, that's anything. That's whether it's over your little sister, whether it's over your cousin, whether it's over your
Right.
baby mother. Y'all gonna swap it out and get it over with.
And that's it. And that was it. Even when we were younger and you got into a fight, that was it.
Right.
And none of this lingering hostilities you were playing the next couple of days. It's like these like hair being rocking like Eric B said, "Oh, the microphone like a grudge."
Mm-hmm.
That's how some of these kids are. I ain't gonna never speak to him again. I ain't gonna never be friends with her again. It's just like, why? Is it really that serious? Yeah, he said something about my sneakers, or
Yeah.
really? He said something about something that you gonna have for about a year and a half,
Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna let it impact the rest of your life.
Right.
You might have to end up working with this individual. Then what are you gonna do? I ain't gonna
Mm-hmm.
never have to work with that individual. You might have to work with somebody like that. You might have to work with somebody you don't like. You might have to work with somebody
Right.
who has similar thoughts that this individual does. So you gonna throw away a job because you don't like the way this person
Right.
says.
Right.
Shit, man.
So you're
It's
gonna
like,
throw away your opportunities because of somebody else.
and newsflash, that person don't know.
And
Don't
probably don't even care.
That's why I tell people, I'm just like, you know what? I'm sorry. I ain't got it to give, and if I did, I wouldn't. And I think that's the lesson that some of these kids need to make, or need to learn, is stop giving your energy to things that don't matter.
Right.
And once these kids start to learn that and then master it and then put that into effect, you'll see a lot of nonsense
This guy.
just,
Yeah.
just it's gonna be like water on a hot day. You never knew it was there.
We
But
just raising some soft A kids nowadays. That's all.
I wouldn't even call them soft. They're maladjusted. So they don't know
Okay.
any better.
Yeah.
Now what I will call soft is the fact that they'll get hurt doing something and they won't get back out there and play. Now
Right.
that's what I call soft.
Right. I got
It's
you.
definitely some soft kids out here. They're just boy, get your ass
Right.
up.
Right.
Go on back out there and play. It's a scrape. You ain't
Mm-hmm.
dying. Get your ass back out there and play.
Right.
Boy, you better get your ass back out there and play. That's
Right.
when they accuse parents of being abusive and all this other stuff. It's like,
I know, right? Yeah.
I'm pushing that boy to play through some discomfort because
Right.
we don't tell women when they're going through labor pains to stop pushing, do we? No, push, push. You gotta push.
Walk it off. I say that all the time. I walk it off. Walk it off. Walk it off.
You gotta push, and that's see the funny thing about that statement is there is no male equivalent. There is no male equivalent to giving birth. So that if a woman decides to give birth and she doesn't have a C-section, which is probably worse than actually natural birth.
Yes, sir. It is. Well, I don't know. I
Yeah.
can't compare because I never. But. Mm-mm.
Well, I've known some women to have a C-section, and the thing about a C-section, I'm sure you already know this, is
Mm-hmm.
because they have to cut through the muscle. That muscle never really heals.
It does not, and it splits and separates. That's why I told you I'm getting my tummy tucked.
I'm mad at you,
I
but
don't understand, but I'm getting my tummy tucked.
and that's the thing about it. There's no male equivalent. So once a woman experiences childbirth, she understands, even though there may be some physical discomfort, she can survive it.
Right.
Man,
Can you hear me?
yeah,
Yes, we could hear you.
Yeah.
We could hear you the whole time. In fact,
Even though
I don't
they're,
think you could hear us. But
yeah, I think he's still, yeah. Plus, he can't hear me, so I'm gonna play some music.
um,
Um, that's the thing. There is no that 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 rite of passage, if you will, doesn't exist for men. So generally, in order for a young man to experience some kind of physical discomfort, he'll play a
mm,
sport, physical sport, to where he's hit.
right.
He might get his bell rung. And when I say bell rung, I'm not talking about a concussion. So people out there
Oh,
just
that's what
understand.
I was thinking of because I
Nah.
was just like,
Be-
see, I don't like that.
the, Getting a bell rung takes on a lot of different connotations, and usually when that's said, that's what they mean. When I'm using it, I'm saying getting the wind knocked out of yourself.
Yeah, I don't like so initially my son wasn't interested in football and now he plays football and I don't like it and I don't care to go to no games.
But
And I don't
that's
want to be unsupportive, but I don't
he,
care.
he understands more than you think he does. He knows you. He knows you don't want to see him beat on. No
Right.
mother does. When I was 7 turning 8, I wanted to play football too. Why? My older brothers played. My aunt, bless her soul, had to be talked into it by my older brother because she didn't want me to play. Same thing. It's a mother's instinct to protect, and it's a father's instinct to push
Right.
that young boy to a point to where he experiences some physical discomfort. It prepares him for the world because for men, there is no soft landing. There is no safe space. Men have to create a safe space for themselves. So whether it's a home that he can go to, close the door, and shut the rest of the world out while he drinks a cold beer, and this is part of what Tito's talking about. There's no safe space.
Right.
You got to create it. For women, on the other hand, Western culture is going to make sure, especially if she has kids, that she's reasonably okay. May not be perfect,
Right. Right. But it's
but
gonna be
she's not.
decent.
Yeah, but she's not going to be homeless on the street. Although that's slowly starting to change, but that's a different topic. So those are the things. So boys need to be pushed to experience some discomfort because we don't have that that the rite of passage into manhood that women will have if they have a kid. It doesn't exist. And people will say, well, you don't a man doesn't necessarily have to experience um some type of discomfort to be a man. Well, how else is he gonna understand that he can absorb some punishment and still perform? I was listening to and I don't know if I mentioned this before. I was listening to the Andrew Tate Tucker Carlson video, and it's a magnificent video for those of you who might be interested. But for the sake of this discussion and what we're talking about tonight, I want you to skip to the 1 hour mark and listen to about the 1 hour 17 minute mark. And Andrew Tate touches on this kind of stuff. He talks about how society is making masculinity toxic, how masculinity is making men. I shouldn't say make men. How modern culture is pushing men to not be men. They tell you that not sitting in your seat being still is toxic. They tell you that standing up, talking, speaking up for yourself is toxic. All the things that are associated with proper masculine etiquette isn't good.
But I don't.
So
I don't understand. I don't even I feel like we just take some things and go way too far with it. It's like I get it, toxic masculinity, yes, it's a thing, but we don't have to jump all the way off the roof with it. Jesus Christ.
but What the attempt is this. The attempt, at least from what I understand, the attempt is to try to make men women. And the only way you can do that, or the only way that can be done effectively, is to weaken men mentally. Because you can't weaken men physically. It's impossible. Because once puberty starts, testosterone is going to take over. You
But
can't
what's the
stop it.
point? What's the point of trying to make men women? I don't get that. Like, what do you think the? Why do you say that? That they're trying to make men women?
So women can have equal footing.
Mm.
Think, think all your athletics now. They're allowing trans men to compete
Yeah,
with
that's
women.
crazy. Yeah, it's that. Yeah, and now instead of having a vagina, you have a bonus hole,
Oh man, I,
which is
I,
which is insane to me because
I heard that. I said, "What the fuck?"
yeah, like I don't have a bonus hole. It is the hole. Like, what are y'all talking about? And it's crazy because why? Just because you want to be something, it fine, be happy, do what you want. But why try to take from women that are born biologically women? Just because you want to live a different way and you don't identify as what you were born at, doesn't mean that I gotta now step down off the podium. I didn't say you couldn't stand up here next to me, but you're not going to, you know, say it has to be a bonus hole because I'm offended. Like what?
How does it? How does? Hold on for a moment. How does that conversation even? How does that conversation
I don't.
go? Man
I,
says, "Look, I'm going to get some bonus hole tonight." What the?
I'm going to get some bonus hole tonight.
What?
I am. That is hilarious. Yeah, I don't
Because
know.
because one of my high school classmates posted that on Facebook, and I'm scrolling through and I read bonus hole,
Yeah, it is a bonus hole now.
and she said, "I don't have a bonus hole. I have a vagina." I was like, "Yeah, you do."
Right. But
But I
yep,
was like,
that's
"Why would you have to tell somebody that?" And then
right.
I
Exactly.
read further down, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I said, "I'm done."
Yeah,
I said, "I'm done."
it's just insane. It's getting out. It's getting out here.
I'm going to get me some bonus hole tonight. I wonder if I can say that at work and get it.
It's just, I mean,
You matter. I might have to jump on Facebook and say, "What woman want to give me some bonus hole tonight?"
yeah, it's just completely, completely outrageous.
Oh shoot, bonus hole.
I just feel like for all of that, just call it a vagina. Just go ahead and call it a vagina.
Bonus hole.
Because what are they gonna call men? What? It's gonna be a bonus stick?
Hey, look. All I know is I'm 51, and it's like I'm sitting here saying, as long as the creek don't rise, the waters recede. I got about another 15 years of this crazy nonsense, maybe 20.
The bonus
I'm
hole.
just gonna, I'm gonna, I'm gonna, I'm gonna sit at the dock on the bay, watch the clouds go by, because this is just getting insane. It's, and this is part of the reason why I'm glad I don't watch TV. I don't listen to pop culture, black culture. I I'm in a loop when it comes to that stuff, and I am beyond thrilled because some of this stuff is just crazy to me. Like this, like the whole Kiki thing. I'm still trying to get wind of what all of that nonsense is about, and I'm just like,
Oh yeah, did you see the video?
no,
Oh, okay. So basically, long story less long. Usher's during Usher's residency in Vegas, he has this song when he sings "There Goes My Baby." He always brings up a woman
yeah,
and serenades the lady. Um, So he did the same thing to Kiki Palmer. She had what she had on was a leotard, a bodysuit kind of leotard, but it was a thong. So you did see her cheeks, and she had a sheer dress over it. And to me personally, it looked like to me that she participated in the show. I don't see it as I didn't see it or view it as disrespectful, because again, she was participating in the show. It wasn't like she was the first one he did it to. She was the only one that he did it to. And to me, the action surrounding it as well even showed that it was playful, because like when she went back over to her homegirls, she was fanning herself. She was acting all extra, being extra.
Woo.
And it's like sometimes you have to read context. Kiki Palmer and Usher ain't getting together. He's done it to everyone. He did it to the insecure girl. She's married. She was there with her husband. It's not a like pretty much the show is the same every single night, but he does things to make it different. He interacts with the crowd, and that particular part of the show is completely the same. And I guess the baby father said it's the outfit though, and he put that on Twitter. And I think what everybody had an issue with is one, regardless of whether it was the outfit or not, yes, you may not have known that she was wearing it. That's kind of a personal conversation for you guys to have in your household. That wasn't for you to put on Twitter. And he just opened himself to a world of criticism, and they was basically like he a stay-at-home dad, so now he's mad. He thought no, I'm sorry, he didn't say it's the outfit though. He said you a mom though.
Right.
So basically
That's
because
how,
she's a mother, basically because she was a mother, that's why it was inappropriate. And then he came back and said, something about I have standards or something, and my wife, blah blah blah. But whole time that's not your wife. So you might
yeah.
have had an argument if you made an honest woman out of her when she was pregnant. But you're talking about standards and culture and
Can
traditional,
you hear me?
but that's not your wife.
Yeah. We can hear you.
It's crazy. I don't know what's going on.
Go ahead, Shaughnessy.
Every now and then. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, can
No,
you
you
hear us
did.
now?
We was talking about the Kiki Palmer situation, and why her child's father was slighted and why he's getting slammed on the internet now.
See, and it's just what you said, Shaughnessy. One, he's not married to her. What people don't realize about correction is this: correction is a two-step process. One, the error needs to be pointed out, or whatever needs to be corrected needs to be pointed out. And two, the correction has to be made. If that doesn't occur in that particular order, then you're never going to have anything. His first mistake, from what I understand, was initially, before she went to the show, was posting her on the internet a short time ago in, I believe it was some provocative
While she
title.
was pregnant, with her cheeks out, twerking.
Right, right. He set this in motion then. What
And
fellas
that
have to understand,
behavior.
and this is part of what we're talking about, where men go wayward and they get violent. You cannot set that kind of template for your girlfriend who's pregnant with your child and then get mad when she takes the next step to whatever it is that she does. He set up the first domino, and in order for the second domino and third dominoes to fall, the first domino has to be pushed over. He pushed that domino over. So he's got to eat this. And as we say, he got to hold that L. And until
But it
he,
wouldn't. I don't even think it would have been an L had he approached it correctly. And correctly meaning had he just went ahead and addressed her when she came home. Because if he did have a problem with her outfit, then cool, so be it. That's valid, and that's a valid concern, whether she's your wife or just your girlfriend. You are able, and I feel that you should be able to make comments or such and such
on your partner's outfit. For me personally, there are certain shirts and stuff like
Shaughnessy?
Trying to see on the move.
You can hear me, Dave?
if I have on something that's,
Yeah, I hear you.
a little
Okay.
short or, whatever it is, it'll be like, I cannot bend over because it's all coming out if you bend over. But it presented a certain level of insecurity, and it just wasn't necessary.
You know what?
And now we have to know that.
I think and this is the thing. I think he might be frustrated with her, and that's the way this is manifesting itself. Is he may have said something to her behind closed doors. We don't know, and she may have dismissed him because there's a lot of women are saying she's the breadwinner in that family, so she gets to call the shots. So if he's a man that's being emasculated by her behind closed doors, we would never know.
Or he thought that baby was going to sit her down.
Well, yeah,
Mm.
That's
and
what I think.
and
Really, he thought that
and that
sit her down.
hasn't happened.
Yep.
He
Because men
he's
always have a different standard for the mother of their children.
yeah, yeah.
They always have a different standard for the mother of their children. And again, I'd even argue that fight too. But again, that was a private conversation. That was a private conversation.
You know what the thing about it is this though, at least for me, that's not even a conversation that's going to take place for me. Because as a man, I'm going through your wardrobe. I'm gonna see if
Well,
you,
in their I'll say in their realm or in her world, she may not have even had that outfit when she left the house. A stylist may have come and styled her. So that may not have even been a thing. He
yeah.
may not have been in the same space as her. But now I do feel you when it to me, it does seem weird that as my man, I am going to this Usher show. I may be out with the girls. Like, dang, you ain't call him and show him your outfit? Like, damn, I
But
look
that's the
good.
thing.
Look,
But
I'm a
that's the thing.
FaceTime. I'm going to put the phone on the floor so you can see the whole thing. Like, everything.
But that's exactly what I'm getting at. I'm not gonna have that conversation because, like I said, I'm gonna go through a woman's wardrobe and I'm gonna see what she has. And we are gonna have that conversation before that situation ever takes place.
Hold
That
on, Bert.
situation,
What you mean you're gonna go through it?
man, I'm gonna tell you about her. Chicks that I deal with, I'm seeing what you have in your closet. Why? Because I want to know if you have the wherewithal to have decent clothing before I
So,
commit
so,
to you.
so you doing
Because
an
I buy my
inventory
women
check?
clothes. No,
Right. You doing
because I
inventory.
buy women clothing. So I want to know what you got, what the taste are. So if I decide to go buy you something that I don't tell you, I just ask what your size is. I can show up with something I know you're gonna like. I've done that before. I've I've brought women that I've dated. Hell, I've brought women that I've had an interest in clothing. I'm not above doing that. I know some men are, but hey,
Y'all, this guy at my job, oh my gosh, the maintenance man at my job bought me a sweater. And I ain't know what to do with it. Like,
say thank you.
So what you
it
do
was
with
weird.
it?
No, I did say thank you. Like, he's a nice guy. Like, he's a nice older gentleman. I'm always nice to him. And he bought me a sweater for Christmas. And I just was like, oh,
Did you like it?
I definitely like the thought.
Mm.
It was a nice thought. I don't dislike it. It was like a little, it was a V-neck crappy kind of sweater. And it was from a female's clothing store. So he specifically went in there for whoever. I don't know. Maybe I'm hoping he bought it for somebody else and it was like, oh, I can give it to that girl. But
Did you wear it?
no, I haven't worn it. But I
And
haven't, I haven't worn it just because it's just not a color that I typically wear, or it wasn't anything like that. But it definitely caught me off guard for it to be a piece of clothing.
but see, and I think that's where a lot of men they lose by not taking the initiative to say, "This is what I expect you to wear." And when you buy a woman an
I don't
article
know.
of clothing,
An immediate turn off for me. Now we can have a conversation about a shirt that you may have seen or a shirt that you see me wearing, but you coming to me and saying to me, "This is what I expect you to wear," like, boy,
no, not wear. This is my expectation on the type of clothing
Oh
that
boy,
I'd
Herb,
like to
you
see
didn't
you
open
wear.
up something.
yeah,
You didn't
no,
open up something.
it's not,
You know
it's
the
not.
wolf ain't afraid to walk in no
Yeah.
forest. I ain't afraid to walk in no forest.
I
I'm
know
a
that.
wolf.
I
It's
know
just the
that.
thought process. It's just the thought process of it. Because do I have a problem with you coming to me and saying to me, yeah, I don't like that shirt. That shirt doing too much. Yeah, yeah. I would respect your thoughts and your opinion about it, and I'm gonna try to compromise. Because my thing is gonna be if the shirt crazy, 9 times out of 10, you know if the shirt or whatever it is crazy. And I'm just saying shirts in particular because that's my thing. I do like to show cleavage, but I would be willing to compromise. I could wear it when I'm with you. I'll wear it when I'm with you if that makes you feel better.
No,
I
it's not
think
a. Go ahead, Dave.
I think if it's a couple and y'all have that type of conversation and communication and
Right.
you have an event to go to, I would almost expect that throughout, like, oh, this is what I'm wearing to
Oh yeah.
Saturday's event, and then he may say,
Yeah,
oh, let me see what you look like in it. Then you come like, nah, that ain't, nah,
yeah. My
or
grandma's
something.
gonna be there. She gonna call you a strumpet. Like yeah, definitely. I would definitely because even with like my baby shower, I did outfit checks with my homegirls. I was like, what y'all wearing? I'm already 19, pregnant. We gonna have all them old people in there. Let's make sure ain't nobody doing too much.
And see, I'm wired different. If I'm getting the bonus hole, you damn
Um,
right I'm gonna have some say so on what you wear.
weak. Yeah, I get say so, but again, in a situation where we're going out to an event together and we're kind of just checking in to see what the other person is wearing, then cool. I'm with that all day. But if you just going straight up rip, come to me like this is what I expect or what kind of clothing I expect my women to wear, it's gonna initially turn me off. It's
So,
initially gonna turn me off.
so her with that process, if they don't live with you, what you go to their house and you go through their closet. I mean, how do you know what their wardrobe is?
Yeah, absolutely.
You go through their. That's wild.
No, understand.
And I mean, it
Hold
goes
on,
to
hold on,
I
hold on.
said something. Go ahead, go ahead.
When you say go through, I don't sit there and
I got
I'm
you with a
gonna know.
clipboard and marking on
I'm
stuff.
gonna
Don't.
know roughly what a woman's style is by the time I get to a certain point in the relationship with her.
Right, right.
So I'm gonna know she's a jeans person, she's a heels person, she wears flats. I'm gonna know that by about 2 months in the process of dealing with her. Because I'm gonna look at what she wears. I'm gonna watch the kind of things that she watches on television. I'm gonna pay attention to the type of things that she comments on. And I'll ask her particular questions. Hey, look, what do you think about this? Social events, just like we're talking about the Kiki Palmer situation. What do you think about this particular wardrobe? Oh no. I'm always asking
Who
questions
put
to
breaking
gather
it?
information. I have to break it into it. I'm let me explain to y'all who I am. Loving every woman is simple, cute with a dimple. They let me in. I ain't got a B&E. They opening up the door for me, laying out the red carpet. I'm a Lewis.
Leaving the
I
door
ain't gotta
unlocked,
do,
okay?
I ain't gotta do all that. I gotta stand an invite in many places. I just don't use it.
Herb said he get the text. The door is unlocked.
Y'all didn't know.
You
I
that
told
guy.
y'all I signed NDAs. That's why I get the unfettered access. Come on, people. Like I said, I bought women clothing, and you know what? They have never said no, thank you. They have never returned it, and didn't say I don't want it.
I mean, I wouldn't return it either. Especially if I know it's coming from a good place.
But what if you just don't wear it?
I'm going to try to wear it, especially when I'm around you.
Because sometimes people have that, like, I really don't like this, and you don't end up wearing it, and you might have a guy like, yo, what happened to that sweater? What happened to them jeans? Or what happened to them dress pants I bought you, or that skirt?
I mean, just like you said, you have to know your personnel. Depending on how that person is going to take it. If you straight up say, yeah, I don't like these, or I don't like, are they going to go back? They're going to return it? Are they going to just say, okay, I'm going to just get you a gift card instead? Or come with me to the store, we'll change it. It just depends.
That's also something men could do that they don't do too. Is go. You don't necessarily have to buy her something, but get her a gift card from that store. She'll go in there and she'll see what's in there. Now, what you're doing subliminally, pay attention, fellas, is you're letting her know what you like,
right,
and what you want to see her in. Now, if she doesn't buy anything out of that store, she's telling you she doesn't like your clothing style taste, which is fine. Now you got some work to do. You got to figure out a happy compromise between what she likes and what you like, and you work from there.
Yeah. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's definitely worth the conversation, because there has been times where I'm like, I don't like them sweatpants. Or why your shirt so tight? Like, where are you going? Your shirt so tight. You got the muscles out for what? For who?
What you mean you got the muscles out? If he got muscles, they gonna be out no matter what shirt he has.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. There's certain kinds of shirts that fit certain ways.
She's
Just
talking
like
about
it's certain sweatpants that show too much.
What, the gray sweatpants?
The gray sweatpants.
I was gonna say she's talking about the zero cut shirt.
The gray sweatpants. Like, no, you wear the Nike Tech when you're with me. That's what you wear.
A lot of issues, man. We got problems. We got problems. Because to me, if you're a guy built like that, I mean, I guess you got to find certain clothing. But if you're a woman and you got a frame, what can a guy? What can he do? What can he say?
Right. I mean, and that goes on your level of confidence as well in the relationship too, because I may say just like, where are you going in them sweatpants? But I'm not about to fuss and ask you to change your sweatpants. That's crazy. That is insane. But I may say something. I mean, there's certain, again, you got to know who you're with and know your personnel. Some things is worth mentioning, some things are not. I've gotten it before where I'm getting dressed and it's like, why are you wearing those? And I'm like, what? They the same kind of the red is doing too much. And I'm like, dang, ain't nobody gonna see them. It's just the thought. It's just the thought. Like, why you wearing lacy? Why everything lace today? No reason. That's what I picked out first. That's what came out first. That was what was right there.
Sound like for men, they need to be in their man cave. And when you going out, say, "All right, baby, I'll see you later," and they be like, "All right," and they don't never know what you got on. All right, be
I
safe.
mean,
Let me know you made it.
I don't know. 9 times out of 10, you're gonna be walked out anyway, right? Because if I leave the house alone, I'm always walked out.
Well, you get walked out.
Hmm. But I also
Yeah.
think he think that the sex traffickers is trying to get me. I don't know. He think the sex traffickers be after me or something.
Folks, y'all see it be a lot going on, a lot of different dynamics, man. A lot of different dynamics that people
But
don't think
it's
about.
also, yeah, it's also a safety thing too. I guess, if you're going out late or dark time with your homegirls. I don't even think it has to be dark time too. I think the only time I'm not only walked out is if he's actually asleep, like in the bed. Other than that, I get walked out.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, I mean, to me, like in the daytime, if somebody was saying they were leaving out, I don't know. I guess it depends on where where you going or whatever the case is.
Oh yeah, I get to walk out the window, and if I turn around, I'm gonna see the peek through the blind too.
Yeah. Uh,
Just making sure the scene is safe. I don't know.
might be a little more than that.
What you think it is? What you think it is?
You know what it is.
No, I really don't. I thought it was. I thought it was safety.
Listen.
I thought it was a safety. And I mean, just again, you have to know who you're with, because just like I told y'all before, like I may say, oh, the kids are in their bed, they in the room, they sleep. He definitely gonna go open them doors. Like the kids are there. Like I ain't lie about it. Like the both of the kids are there. They sleep.
I think for like some men, they may be comfortable. Like say for example, if you got if your woman is shapely or whatever the case is, you know that she's gonna attract attention,
Right.
and again, it deals with the confidence level. Like you understand that, but you know who you are, and you know like okay, I'm not gonna monitor everything. She okay, she running out to the grocery store. It's the summertime. She got on some little spandex, little something comfortable. But damn, what you say before, Shaughnessy? That thingin' be thangin'. Don't think I forget anything.
But see, but again, that's when you have to know your. Because again, I am once the weather hit, I'm a biker short abuser. I love my biker shorts, and I will wear them. But I get compliments. I even get compliments on my scrubs. Like he'll tell me like, "Oh, I like them," and I'm like, "Oh, for real, these?" He like, "Yeah, I think them are my favorite scrubs." But he's not gonna tell me to take them off.
Well, no, I mean, but you got to understand the representation of scrubs because you know it's stuff that goes around on social media that shit every
Yeah.
woman that wears scrubs. Now I worked at a hospital on the psych floor. Not everybody wears scrubs. Don't get it twisted. Y'all don't look right in them.
Oh my gosh, what?
But there, some people they have on scrubs. You be like, okay, so you can see why some guys be like, shit, they like working in hospitals and stuff like that.
They like the way them scrubs look.
Yeah.
No comment.
You got a comment. You just so
Because I'm kind of like I see the scrubs, but what's on underneath them scrubs? That's why I say the fuck away from.
So you be
I,
undressing them with your eyes.
I gotta keep. Hey, that man, he's only allowed to come out under strict supervision.
Oh Lord.
We keep we keep him under wraps
But
because sometimes he's just bad for business.
I just think like some things, it's like even before I didn't post images and I had, women wearing certain things, and the women responded like, "What can you do if she got a body like that? Like he need to get over it, like the insecurities of some guys. Like I don't know what you could. The only thing you could probably do is like maybe that shouldn't be your choice of woman." Because if she got backside, she got back. I don't care what she put on. She could put on a goddamn snowsuit, and that shit go still be
That thing still gonna be thinking.
yeah, and that's a fact. So what can you do?
Yeah. But also sometimes too, because I find this a lot like because I know I have a certain shape in certain settings, I'm gonna make sure that my shirt is long. I know there's certain things that I'm gonna make sure my butt a little covered because it's doing a lot right now.
Hey.
See, and that all goes back to those to those guys that can't handle that. They can't handle that. Like like if you what you want, and you know if it's guys and there's a couple of guys that's by themselves, they gonna look.
Right,
You
right.
can't stop.
Yeah. So what are you gonna be? Are you gonna be someone go off the deep end because somebody
Look at your girl ass.
yeah checking her out, or are you gonna be like, yeah, that's right, keep looking, or
Right, right.
do something to let them know, I know y'all looking, but this mine. What do you do?
Yeah, been there. Hey, it's the blessing of the curse.
Hmm. A
All right,
gift
all
that
right.
But
You got to learn how to. Yeah, you got to learn how to live with it, especially if
yeah.
you're gonna live with it.
Herb had that list. He had that clipboard.
And he already know that outfit. He already know all the outfits.
No
I
scrubs,
wouldn't.
no
I,
spandex.
Steve Harvey. It's rare that you will hear me mention him in conjunction with doing something that I wholeheartedly agree with.
You don't like Steve Harvey?
No, it's not that I don't like Steve Harvey. Some of the stuff he says is dated, so it doesn't apply to men my age and younger. But anyway, Steve Harvey said the first thing he does when he commits to a woman, I believe Steve Harvey said this, and I could be incorrect, is that he throws all her clothes out
Hmm?
and buys her a new wardrobe.
Yeah, that's like too much.
Mm,
He has
that's,
the money to do it.
Yeah,
He has the money to do it.
but I don't even
but
care.
even
You're
that,
not throwing all my
that's
clothes out.
wasted money.
Right.
Hold on, Shaughnessy.
That
You
might
have
be
to
my
under-
favorite outfit.
Hold on. You have to understand that the women who are getting with Steve Harvey are doing so because he has that liaison to liquide. So they gonna rock with what he says. They're not walking away from that lifestyle. And if the compromise is that they get a new wardrobe, guess what they're saying? Where we going shopping at?
Mm. I don't know. Some things just don't. I don't know. Y'all don't have that certain pair or like that certain shirt
it's just like buttery smooth.
But
But
why
you're
do you
saying
think?
you might like a certain item that you like, and you might have it for
Right.
years. Like I ain't letting this go.
And you like, yeah, and I know I can't find it nowhere, or I don't know where I could find it.
Yes, but why do you think women come through a man's house and start throwing out his old clothes?
I don't know. I don't be throwing out no clothes now.
Women do that.
Women have been known to do that. I had a woman years ago wanted me to change up my entire look.
Well, it depends. I do know someone that she actually took this guy. She actually took him shopping, and the guy, he did very well for himself. He just was country. He was just a little country. He was still wearing Sean John and stuff like that.
Yeah, I get that. I get that because sometimes you need a woman's touch, or whatever, to kind of like, okay, you probably could do this. So there's nothing wrong with that. But her, when you said she wanted you to change your whole look, what was that about?
She there was an ethnic issue. So
Ethnic.
my yes.
Hmm.
So my clothing in her mind generated a certain image she wasn't comfortable with.
And what was that image?
Pimp God. She didn't like the pimp look.
Oh, what
She
you
didn't
had
like
to
the,
the
the 5 and 7 button suits, the double breasted. She didn't like them. I'm not getting up off my double breasted. I'm not getting up off my 5. I'm not getting up off my 7 button suits. I'm not. I don't have a problem with double vents, but I'm not wearing a European cut suit. Nah, fuck that.
oh
Door,
okay.
door. I don't need your bonus hole that bad.
I'm weak. You gonna keep using this bonus hole.
Yeah, no, but honestly, she didn't like the fact that I was wearing my hats, and I was like, nah, shorty.
Talking about your Godfather hats.
Yeah, she didn't like them. I was like, nah, shorty. That's the image. You ain't messing with my image. I'll give up the baseball caps because I got, matter of fact, sitting in my attic right about now, I have probably about 200 baseball caps that I have not worn in at least a decade. The only time I wear a baseball cap is when I go to a sporting event. So a Yankees game, a Toronto Raptors game, or sorry, Sixers Raptors game, maybe a Bills game. Only time I wear baseball caps. They sit in my attic and been there for years, haven't seen the light of day. And to be honest, I really don't know what to do with them. I really don't want to give them away, and I certainly don't want to sell them.
Keep them. They might become collectors. You never know.
Oh, absolutely. Some of these hats will never be made again.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, so I'm just sitting on them, and yeah, it's like, and some of them are like literally they're brand new. Like I have a I think it's a baby blue Buffalo Braves hat, too big, brand new, pristine. Nothing wrong with it.
Braves
Yeah,
back.
I was looking for a McAdoo jersey to go with it, to pair with it, but I never found a McAdoo jersey.
Mm.
So I mean, I like I said, I got some old hats that just sitting in there. But
Yeah,
clothes is a funny thing though, man. It really is.
yeah. That's a whole nother show about
What do you
clothing.
think? Yeah, I was just about to say. Did you not like? Were you feeling the Palmer and her baby fathers? Did you feel his beef?
Did I feel it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't think under no circumstances, I don't care who the breadwinner, you shouldn't be out with your ass hanging out. That's just, to me, unacceptable.
But it
Yeah.
was okay for her ass to be hanging out when he recorded her and put her on Instagram twerking.
You see, I don't even know all the behind the scenes. 'Cause to be honest, I was like, "What the frick is Kiki Palmer?" Then I was like, "Oh, that's that little girl." See, I
Right,
always, I
right,
always think
right,
about her that same age, whatever.
right,
I forgot that she got grown, whatever. That's a little girl that got Medea whooped her ass.
right, right.
But yeah, I mean, who is this guy? Like, where did she meet him at? I think that's the thing too. Like,
I
is he
think
just
he's
a
an.
regular
I
person?
think he's an actor,
Uh, but on
but I,
Tubi?
I, I don't know. I'm not sure, but they were saying that he was a stay-at-home dad. I don't know
Mhm.
what. Let me see what he do. Kiki Palmer boyfriend. Who is he? Darius Jackson. Oh, he's a fitness instructor at Inspire Studios. So he has a family of athletes who grew up playing several sports. He played football in high school. Okay. Fresno State University scholarship. He started
Oh,
boxing and on a gym.
okay. So he's legit.
Oh wait, I don't know if this is the same. Um. Oh, he was playing with the Texans in 2021. He had a $850,000 contract.
Oh, so he's thorough then.
I guess.
Well, the reason why I say that is this: Fresno State is a D1, a Division 1 school. Even if he had a trial with the Texas, he's in the 1% of men in this country in terms of physicality. So he can do it. There's absolutely no question. Now, what I question is his judgment in women, but that is applicable to a lot of black men in America, and that's that cultural thing. We like shapely women. We will tolerate some things, and what I use the term "we" loosely. We will tolerate some things to get some things. Me, I'm on the other end of the spectrum. It's like Kevin Samuel said, we'll go down in looks to go up in cooperation. He hasn't reached that level yet. Maybe this is the point in which he starts to saying, okay, you know what? I'm going to start from here on out. Whatever happens, if him and Kiki don't get married or they get married, I'm going to start being more selective about the women I deal with. We see it with Zion Williams. Just it's the culture, man. That's the only way I can describe it is the culture of selecting wayward women to deal with. You look at the brother from the Hornets who has a kid with uh what is her name? I can't remember her name right now. And now she's dating some other guy. And, and like I said, it's a culture. Why can't I remember her bloody name?
Talking
Brittany
about,
Renner.
oh, you talking
Brittany
about
Renner.
the guy from who played for Kentucky that was dating.
Yes, Brittany
Yeah,
Renner. So it's
yeah.
a culture. The song and the song that made all this popular, and I could be wrong, is "I'm in Love with a Stripper." When that song hit, it was almost as if it became okay
Oh,
to
but
do.
never mind. That was Kiki Palmer that wrote that. I was about to say, well, he wrote it right there. He said who he was, but she wrote this. It's in a birthday post she wrote to him. She said, "I can share most things so easily, but not you." So it seemed like both of them.
But that's the thing that brothers have to understand. Was that look for her, meaning her brand, or was that look just for her? In other words, because she can do it.
I've heard a lot of people that said, a lot of blogs and stuff that were saying that after Kiki Palmer having a baby, it like unleashed a whole new level of sex appeal in her, where usually women turn the opposite way. It's unleashed so much sex appeal in her. So I mean, maybe she's just, I don't know.
It might lead. It might lead to a trend that every woman after they have a baby they think they sexy, but I hope they don't fall into that
Yeah.
thing.
Why not?
I'll give you a great example. I think Selma Hayek is the absolute most stunning woman on the planet. Certainly one of the top three in my book.
What's that?
Selma Hayek.
Oh, okay.
Did you hear me, Dave? I think his volume coming. Did you hear me, David?
Now we can't hear him.
Okay.
We can't hear you.
Y'all
When
can hear me now,
Selma,
right?
Yes.
okay, yeah, we can hear you. Selma Hayek. You know who she is from the chick from Dust Till Dawn.
Yes,
I,
yes.
I,
Yeah.
I gotta look her up. I don't know who that is.
Ooh, wow. Okay.
When you see her, you're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I know who she is."
When she had her kid, I was like, I'm done with her.
Hmm.
Not in terms of how attractive she is.
That's somebody else's property, huh?
Right.
Hmm.
Now, the irony of that is I have dealt with married women. Full
Ooh.
disclosure. Full disclosure. But I didn't um I didn't covet them the way I covet Selma. Selma's my get out of jail free card. Well, she isn't anymore because she's aged slightly, but
What? So have you?
okay, but what does that have to do with Selma?
So she was supposed to stay the same age, or she's not as hot anymore because she's older now?
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Okay, well, hold on. Let me ask you this
She
question.
Caucasian.
She's Hispanic.
Yeah, she.
Mexican.
Mm, 'cause I was looking at this woman. I was like, it was some other woman came out like, he can't be talking about her.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you this question, Shaughnessy. Do women tend to be physically more attractive as they age or when they're younger?
It depends. Some women get older and pop out.
Someone never had a problem with popping out.
Yeah, but some, like, I see some women that, they, it's not like, oh, they were ugly or they were unattractive before, but it's like as they're aging, they're like, it's like, dang, lady, like you was cute before, but now you fire.
Yes, but Selma is up in age. It would be different if I was talking about Selma at 26 and 35. You could throw a blanket over most women in Hollywood in that particular age range. But once most women in Hollywood start to hit 40, they struggle to find roles. That's
Mm.
why they always talk about age discrimination in Hollywood when it comes to female actors, because a male actor doesn't matter what age he is, he's always going to be able to find a role because he doesn't quote unquote age. Case in point, Denzel Washington in his role the Equalizer. We don't realize how old Denzel is.
Mm.
Case in point now, for those of you who know what I'm talking about, if you don't, go look it up. Martha Stewart did a photo shoot for a coffee brand wearing nothing but an apron. Her sex appeal at that particular point rose commiserate to, I'm sorry, in comparison to what it was for a woman her age. She's in her late 70s, early 80s, or somewhere about there. And it's like she actually looks attractive enough to sleep with. See, we
Born
have to
again with
understand.
Martha Stewart.
Oh.
No, go look at that particular picture. At that particular picture, I was like, okay, wait a minute. Martha might have caught something that night. I'm just saying, go look at the picture, man. I'm being honest. It was just like, oh, wait a minute, that's Martha Stewart.
Saw Martha Stewart on the daggone Kardashians, and I was like, oh, she getting old.
But that's what I'm saying. Go look at that picture of Martha Stewart in the apron,
Oh.
and it was just like, okay, wait a minute. She actually holds up pretty well for a woman her age. Case in point, who else is? I'm trying to think of some of the exceptions of women that are over the age of 60 that still look good. Angela Bassett.
Oh yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think of people that are still with us. So I don't want to mention anybody that's has transitioned. Angela Bassett is the only one I can think of right now. Um, uh, I think Linda Carter's still around, the original Wonder Woman. Um, I can't recall too many people off the top of my head right now. Um, the one that played Thelma on Good Times, she's
Yeah,
managed
I
to
know
age,
who you're talking about.
she's managed to age well. I don't know if Pam Pam Grier's still around, but these are the women that have taken reasonably good care of themselves and they age well. And you know what? They still are box office draws. Men want to see them. People want to see them. They say, hey, you know what? This, and this. And people will talk about makeup this, makeup that. Makeup only does so much. Makeup ain't gonna make them your breasts stand up. Now you can go buy all the kind of bras in the world you want to. If a woman has to shoot a particular scene, she got to work with what she has to work with, and nothing's going to change that. Nothing's going to increase her appeal, her physical appeal to men overall. There's just some women that have that universal appeal. It is what it is. Can't change it. Can't fudge it. It doesn't mysteriously appear and disappear. It just sits there for for all to embrace it, for all to try and touch it, or whatever the case is. That's what it is. But absolutely, I mean, we all. You know, the funny thing, and I and I have to check myself when I do this. I pretty much look the same way now that I did when I graduated high school. The caveat: no facial hair, and my hairline wasn't receding. But I can post my senior picture. Matter of fact, I think I'll do this on Facebook. So anybody who wants to take a look, you can take a look.
That
My senior,
photo.
I'll do it. I have absolutely no problem doing it. I gotta locate the picture, the senior picture, and then find out the way to, because I don't have my phone. My phone's broken. Matter of fact, I do have two pictures. I'll do that. I'll put them side by side. I look pretty much the same way 32 years ago. I haven't changed much. So I have to pat myself or pat myself on the back and say, hey, look, stop that shit. Because I'm like, yo, I look at some people that are my age, and I'm like, I could just look at their face and tell that they've aged. Now, I also have to factor in that there's two things I have working in my favor. One, I don't have any kids. Two, I'm not married. The reason why I say that is for a lot of people, having kids is stressful. Not necessarily in a bad way, but you have things to worry about that I don't. So that's a credit to them for enduring that, raising their children. Like I say, it's not a job, it's a responsibility. And any responsibility of that magnitude is going to create some stress. And marriage can be stressful, especially if you're in a bad one. So I always have to say, hey, look, Stop being so fucking judgmental, you idiot. And so that's what I have. So,
Can y'all hear me? Y'all hear me?
yeah.
Oh, all right. I apologize for I don't know what's going on. I might need might be time for a new mic and all that shit after a couple years. Uh, but I know we covered a lot. We talked about a lot, and it seemed like I know I've been on for most of the show, but it seemed like I missed half of it for whatever reason. It wasn't that long, but I guess for a matter of sake of time, it's probably time for us to close this conversation out. And we know that it's going to pick back up in some shape or form. But I appreciate Herb, you and Shaughnessy holding it down
Mm-hmm.
uh, and creating this dynamic conversation for people to think about. Like, and I often talked about like concepts build off of concepts. So when you're out here creating content, you can multiple broadcasts can come out of one show on different things that has been said. So again, this is one of those ones that got a lot to work with. You just gotta go back, do your homework, do your research, and come back and talk about it. But the problem is with many people, they don't do no homework. They just go strolling through like, hey, they talking about this on this podcast, so we're gonna talk about that. Um,
Absolutely.
so I think it's at this time it's time to have some closing comments on everything that was everything that was said, or something that sticks out that was said tonight. That like okay,
Emotional
that's my
intelligence.
closing comment.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm closer to normal.
What
Growth
you
and
say,
understanding.
Shaughnessy?
Oh, go ahead,
I
son.
said
I'm sorry.
emotional intelligence is very, very important. Very, very important. Very, very vital. You should love always and in a good way, but always think of the after or the what ifs and make sure you could survive. And that is it for me.
Definitely appreciate that.
The old tried and true stand by growth and understanding occurs in the gray area. Godspeed. See you next time.
Have a
All
good
right, I ain't gonna
night.
let you off the hook with that one. No, 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 no. It's more. You said a lot. It's more than that. Your standard one. I'm not letting you off the hook on that one. You got to give some. No, sir.
Men,
Yeah.
men, for the sake of harmony, reputation, and the future, get your shit right. Okay? Stop losing yourself over women. Get yourself some hobbies. If you don't have a career, get yourself a job, some volunteer positions. But don't make a woman in your life the sun. She's supposed to be the moon for you. In other words, she's supposed to revolve around you and not her. I know that's going to rub some people the wrong way. It's esoteric wisdom. So if you don't understand it, don't blame me. Get into the books. And men, make sure that you are in a position to lead before you claim leadership. And I'll leave you with that.
Mhm.
All right, now that was much better.
Put my feet to the fire.
Yeah. Had to. Got to hold people accountable. And for me, man, again, we've talked about this before. Build yourself up to have options, because without options, and I don't care, it doesn't have to be with dating and relationships. It could be job wise. It could be anything. If you don't have options, that's like somebody that's talented, got a great skill set, but they don't got a damn resume. They just got jobs because of referrals, but now shit is getting heated, and now they're like, okay, now I might have to make a move, and now you got to build yourself up and think about everything you have done. Make sure you have all that in order. So options mean power,
Mhm.
and the only time, and it's crazy, like some of the trainings that I have to listen to, these virtual trainings, I was like, oh God, like I got so many to listen to before the start of the school year. But one of the things that stuck out on one of them I was listening to, and it was talking about crisis situations, and they were saying that the only time people make threats is when they ran out of options,
Mm.
and that's when it becomes a crisis. And if you think about it, and you tie that into regular relationship stuff, you only make threats like that when you feel you don't have no power. And that's your
Mm.
last resource. Like, oh, I could maybe I could debo this person, or I'm gonna beat your ass. I'm gonna do this or that. When you have options and you have other alternatives, you ain't getting into those debates. And the reason why we keep honing on this, because we see it happening. It's happening.
Mhm.
It's happening. That the aggression and the violence, and even at on the lower level, I think Herb mentioned it before, like with the boys. These little kids don't mind fighting girls. I be like, you about to fight a girl? You arguing with a girl? Well, she said this,
Which
she
is
said that.
insane.
Yeah, this is going back full circle. A lot of reteaching and retraining need to be done, because these dudes ready to give it, lose it all to fight a girl, and that's just not how it's supposed to be. Now, granted, growing up, we probably fought girls and stuff like that, but I don't. It was more so people that you grew up with in your neighborhood that you had a little squabble, but it wasn't. And you was friends the next day. Your parents knew each other, but they
Right,
be
right.
fighting people that, okay, I don't really know them, but she said this, so and she hit me, so I smacked her and all that stuff, and we got to do away from that. But I think the whole thing is that we have to retrain our minds, and also think about, I'm not about to lose it all behind some individual. I ain't going to jail for life
Mhm.
for that, and that's what you got to think about. Is the risk greater than the reward?
Right.
And you got to think deeper. And I talk about that often. I don't think people go that extra mile to think like the extra step. Like, nah, this is probably a bad. This is not a good idea. Go
Like,
further
what's
with your
next?
thoughts. Yeah, go further with your thoughts before you make a decision. Because if you make the wrong one, you'll be jammed up for life. And I ain't about to be in the jail for nobody, nobody for my entire life. But we know some people do it. So with that said, think about that, marinate on it. You know how it is in the counselor's corner throughout the week. If you want some smoke and you want some activity, join it. You're going to get some different perspectives, something that you don't like, something that may make you feel uncomfortable. Only the strong that survive, and that's the youngest in charge, Shaughnessy. She can handle it. She built for that. But a lot of people, they curl up in a fetal position. Let them keep curling up, because it's something to learn in everybody's perspective, even though it may be foreign to you. It's something you can get out of anybody's perspective.
Right.
Criminal, drug addict, whatever it is. It's something they could give you that you say, wow, I ain't going that route. They just dropped the jewel
Right.
and told me why they did this. I'm not going that route. So, with that said, people, good night. Everybody enjoy the rest of their week. Be safe, be well. We'll see y'all next time. We out.
See
All
Peace.
ya.
right.
Have a good night.
All right, good night.